Friday. It's time to get your freak on because it's time for Freaky Friday. Yes, indeed. The three amigos, we ride again. I, Kev Baker, Scotty Lopez, and the NeSe. We will guide you through the next 3 hours of woo right here on Truth Frequency Radio. We're also going out on TalkStream Live. Big shout out to everyone over there. And on YouTube for our simulcast, our one simulcast of the week. And if you want to get your dopamine hit, your name call, over on the roster for the Wookiee Cave, then please head on over to tfrlive.com/chat. And I'll be heading there in just a moment. But before I do so, Scotty boy, how you doing, man? 24 hours on from our last show, and here we are again.
I'm still just kind of my brain is still buzzing from the whole Black Pyramid thing we did yesterday. I never really ever really looked into that. And to think that guy's sketches and drawings, what was it? Captain Norden, I believe was his name.
Frederick Norden, yes. Danish explorer extraordinaire.
Mm-hmm. And to think that like his sketches and documentation of what he saw is kind of like the reference material for most of these archaeologists, at the time. And to think, he wouldn't make something like that up. So I found that very, very interesting. It just got me thinking about all kinds of different things, like what happened to it and why was it black, and just all kinds of just
funny because
questions.
It's kind of preoccupied my thoughts after the show last night. Even today, I was watching a documentary. I think it was one of the Ancient Aliens ones, and it was looking at monuments, and it just got me thinking to last night's show about the Black Pyramid, a missing pyramid, the fourth pyramid. And one other person I was thinking about when we were doing that show, and I was asking him before we came on air today, was our good friend NeSe. So NeSe, good day to you. Looking forward to another Freaky Friday, sir. And what were your thoughts about the missing pyramid?
Well, hello and hi, gentlemen. Thank you once again, for allowing me to be here in this honorable position of the Woo crew. So, Black Pyramids. My biggest question I have is it a pyramid that is 3-sided or 4-sided, not including the base?
When you go?
Oh, because when you look into the whole sacred geometry and the difference between the 3- and 4-sided pyramids, they had different esoteric meanings to it. And the 3-sided pyramid, including the base, is allegedly the true pyramid. But if you look at the 4-sided pyramid, that has reference to the regenerative force, the tip of the pylon, the tip of the monument, the Osiris phallic, so it's interesting to know if it was 3-sided or 4-sided.
I think we'll have to time travel back. Scott. And Scott, I've actually built a semi-working time machine. I showed it to you today. It's getting there, right?
Yes, your 3D Stargate skills are getting good, man. Getting good. I like it. You're going to be building models next thing you know. There's going to be like a holographic, rotating. You're going to have that whole thing going on, like sci-fi world, Kev. You're entering sci-fi world. That's what's happening.
Yep.
Yes, you're embracing it.
Who knew? A big shout out to the Wookiee. How synchronistic that it was a man that goes by the name of the Wookiee that ignited this fire under my graphical production that I come up with. It's almost as if it was meant to be. And talking of Wookiees, I'm heading over there now. Yep, I'm making the short walk over to the Wookiee cave. Oh my, it's a busy Wookiee cave today, guys. Busy Wookiee cave. So first up, we've got some guy called Kev. I'm obviously Dave today because it's Freaky Friday. So Kev's hanging out in the chat room with his girlfriend Sophia, as usual. No wonder people talk. We've got Bam, we have got C, Graves, Cold Brews, Nightshade, Onslow, Waffle Buddy, Daryl, good to see you. Tally Ho, old boy. Tally Ho, there's a great name for a chat. Tally Ho, old boy. Yeah. Yep.
Tally-o, old boy.
That sounds like it would be the opponent of our swashbuckling pirates from yesterday, Scott. Yeah. Swashbuckling pirates beat horseback tally-ho shouting people every day of the week. Every day of the week. It's evolution. It's nature. We've got CJ Rich in there. We've also got Psycho Dave, V-Lash, and Thor Harthen. Oh, no. Thor Heathen. Oh, I like that. I like that.
Thor Heathen.
Yeah, Thor.
It's, good old Nordic legends. And
wouldn't it be really cool if we could give Thor the one and only banhammer over at TFR? Because, I mean, he's Thor, right? He's a hammer.
Yeah, Thor's hammer.
Well, and it is very special that the two of you are consistently together on Thor's Day.
Isn't it? Oh,
see? There you go.
Yep. See, me and Scott were too busy focused in laser beam focus on that woo, Kev, that we miss these things. But I tell you something, dude. We're going to be getting into the darker side of Valentine's Day today. We're going to be taking a look at some of the origins, and as with most gimmicky commercialized holidays nowadays, they do have their roots in something completely different from what most people would imagine. But before we get there, I want you to cast your minds back to last week. And I was cringing because NeSe here, he had gone full prediction time. And I cringe anytime anyone predicts anything, because I see a potential pitfall on the horizon. You know, 9 times out of 10 you predict something, wah, and you end up looking silly. But not our man NeSe, because NeSe was making predictions about the Super Bowl, or should we call it the Superb Owl? More about that in a moment. And NeSe, how did you do it, dude? How did you do it? You were like spot on, man. Tell us, remind the audience what you called. And, well, I've got the pictures to back you up.
Well, when we were discussing it, we discussed it a little bit last week, but it was the previous week that we kind of went a little bit more into a little bit more of it. But my prediction, and I have no dog in this race, and I made no bet, and I do not follow organized sports anymore. But my prediction was that the Buccaneers were going to win the game. And I put in there a kind of a metaphor of the whole progression of what occurred to the Paleo-Americans and kind of the symbolism of the teams of what occurred. But the one part where it really creeped me out is during that prediction, I made a comment about how bizarre it would be if it was like the second coming of Jesus, or if some entity came down from the heavens during the Super Bowl. And lo and behold, people called me up and they told me about that exact occurrence where during the halftime show, some entity was lowered from the heavens, but I wasn't expecting the red eyes.
NeSe, me and Scott talked about this, myself and Ryan Gable talked about this. This has got to be the creepiest moment ever, especially when you have in mind what NeSe was predicting, Scott. And then, like NeSe said, and like nobody can get away from, these blooming glowing red eyes. What's that all about?
I mean, first of all, NeSe called it to a T. I mean, he said the Buccaneers were, he said the Buccaneers were going to win, and that because I thought the Chiefs were going to win. For some reason, I had the Chiefs. I just thought maybe they were going to be the better team, but and then his comments about maybe wouldn't it be kind of crazy if there was some kind of a like a or Jesus returns or some kind of something descending from the heavens kind of a iconography or whatever, and then lo and behold, we had this like creepy choir, remember, and they had like these like helmets with like red eyes, and I see, and it was almost it almost had this like weird dystopic futuristic tech look to it, a tinge to it as well, and then you see that descending whatever it is with the with the red eyes come down, and it was like Mothman or something swooping down on the city. It was weird. It didn't, the whole red eye. Yes, indeed.
Moth entity.
Moth entity, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
just moth entity.
They. Just call it they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
a lot. No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Well, there's something that I also found interesting in this last week is that if you look at the whole Super Bowl and football, American football, its origin is at Yale.
Yeah.
And what is the known group there, the alumni there of the Skull and Bones. And this is the 55th Super Bowl. And so that in itself even added more to the wow, because the 5 is the Pentagon. And if you put points on the Pentagon, then you have the pentacle. And we know how the pentacle is, some people consider it to be negative or satanic or whatnot.
It's powerful symbology, basically. I mean, it has that. It's that symbolic sort of thing, that symbol. That's when you get into like the gematria and all of that kind of belief, and they believe in all that kind of stuff. So they pick these numbers and dates for certain reasons because it has significance to them and the agendas that they have, because whether or not you believe in it, they believe in it. That's the thing. They're basing their decisions off of that stuff. So it's and like I said, it wasn't as like, to me, it seems like lately they haven't been as blatant with a lot of the symbology in like the Super Bowls and stuff like that. It's more like low-key.
You know
or
what
something.
that is, Scott, don't you? You know what that is? That's because beforehand their dastardly plans hadn't been achieved, but now that they have, now they just now there's no need to. They've moved on to phase 2. But I tell you,
I don't know. Or maybe it's always been like that. Maybe it's always just been like that, where people who know what to look for are the only ones that are actually seeing the stuff in these spectacles.
And we have to be honest. People with minds like ours and eyes like ours, when we analyze these things, maybe we shock even the people that put it together, because maybe they had no idea some of the symbology and some of the things that they were actually putting out there,
And there also is an element of like wanting to find something into maybe something that's not really,
you're going to be looking for triangles everywhere. That's a given. Anything that looks triangular, boom.
There's always a level of bias. Yeah, I should say. There's always a level.
One of the you mentioned occult symbols though, and I thought this was pretty cool on a number of reasons, right? For a number of reasons, sorry. And it's think of the word. You like to play with words, Kevin, right? But it's Super Bowl, Super bull or superb owl. Now, there was one really strange ad in amongst all the Super Bowl ads, but it might have been the one ad that stole the show. And not many people actually caught it. Now, that ad only lasted about 5 seconds, and it went something like this. Wow, this actually worked. If you're reading this, it means our bet paid off. Big game spots are expensive, so we couldn't buy a full one. But we were inspired and decided to spend our entire marketing budget on 5 seconds of airtime. One thing we learned from our communities last week is that underdogs can accomplish just about anything when they come together around a common idea. Who knows, maybe you'll be the reason finance textbooks have to add a chapter on tendies. Maybe you'll help our /superb owl teach the world about the majesty of owls. Maybe you'll even pause this 5-second ad. Powerful things happen when people rally around something they really care about, and there's a place for that. It's called Reddit. And like I say, this was like a little glitch in the transmission. They could only afford the 5 seconds, but superb owls. Owls. Ooh, the owl. There you go. Pretty cool though, eh? Pretty cool.
Well, you just said there too that it was 5 seconds, the 55th Super Bowl.
There you go.
And then another way, if you look at the word bowl, the B, the capital B, and we all know the iconography of the B. Are you serious? A? Or are you serious? B. And then if you think of the B as numbers, the first line of the B is the number 1, and then the arcs is the number 3. So then you have 13 owl.
You see, now it's getting confusing now when you're starting to break up. You see, this is when I think we're going too far. This is when I think the computer neural network starts getting false positives. We start finding things that just ain't quite there. I think. Maybe I'm wrong though.
You start spiraling too far down the rabbit hole. I can't.
It's too crazy for me down there, Scott. It's like free fall speed, you know.
Well, what was that called when we have that inner desire of looking for the patterns? Polly wants a cracker.
Pareidolia.
Yeah, pareidolia.
Yes, pareidolia.
Yeah.
Well, it is that desire, but when you see one coincidence, or then you see 2 coincidences, then 3, then when it starts piling up, at what point do you say, okay, there's something to this?
You know why I don't want to go with the 555 thing, boys? You know why I'm sitting here kind of twitching? This harks back to a time when I used to hang out with ambassadors and ninjas, and 555 is the magic number. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm getting like, whoa, I need to go for a wash or something soon, dude.
It's okay, Kev. Just
the smell of ambassador down this rabbit hole. That musky aroma.
Some of those sulfuric entities have gone prior to us.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Avoid anything. Kev's life tip for the day: avoid anything stinking of sulfur. Usually a good rule.
However, you do have to admit the whole 11 thing yesterday was weird.
Right? No, that kind of freaked me out, to be honest.
Yeah. Right.
On you go,
right.
Scott. Talk people through that one. That was bizarre. We had the article. That's what kind of kicked it off, right?
Yeah. So we were talking about the Black Pyramid thing, right? And Kev pulled up an article, and we were like, "Oh, look, this article was written exactly 1 year ago, right? February 11th. It was written February 11th of 2020, and we were like, "Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
That's weird. Oh, that's a bit weird."
Yeah, it's weird. And then later on, it was after the show, right?
Yeah, it was the Clarice. It was the Clarice trailer.
Yeah. So we were. Kev didn't know that there was a series out for Clarice, from Silence of the Lambs, and at the end of that, it said it was coming out, or that it was releasing on February 11th.
Yeah.
So it was like another exactly, the day, and we're like, what the heck is going on with all these synchronicities with the day? It was.
I had a weirder one, because when I was thinking about it, Scott, I looked down at my clock on my computer, and we'd gone into the 12th at that point, and it was the 12th of the 2nd on 2021, and it was all these 2s, 1s, and 0s, and it was something like 0, 1, 1, 2, like 12 minutes past 1 as well. And it was just all looking very freaky. I was thinking about the 11th thing being freaky, and I thought, do you know what? Nah, onto YouTube, man, and just get out there.
He's like, don't.
It's just
don't go down that.
Yeah, but like I hit a wall where some things are that uncomfortable that you don't want to really know what's going on.
May I add to the woo?
Oh, Kevin, and we would, me and Scott will ban you from the show if you don't add to the woo.
So remember, I sent you a message because yesterday was the new moon, and more times than not, I join you on the new moon. And as I was looking at that, it's February, the second month, the 11th. What is the 11th letter? K. 2 Ks. And then as we were going back and forth just before the show started, I think if you recall my last message I sent to you, I said, oh my God, I'm having a deja vu.
You did?
Because yesterday, for some reason, my chair did not properly charged. And so I had things to do, but I needed to charge my chair. So I'm in my room, plugging in my chair, and then me and you are going back and forth with messages, and that was the deja vu. Was
something weird. I'll tell you what I'm thinking then, and listen, it's way out there. It's way beyond Speculation Island, right? But something might have happened yesterday. I think there was something weird happening on some kind of conscious, crazy level yesterday.
I think so.
I think something weird was happening that maybe we haven't caught up with us yet. I don't know, dude. There was something weird going on that we don't know.
Maybe this is just like that's one of those things where we shift into a timeline and we just don't even realize. You know what I mean? You knew something weird happened, but you weren't exactly sure. There was a lot of weird kind of glitches, and then all of a sudden, from that point on, things get even more bizarre.
Well, I tell you, it's kind of weird as well, because I'm kind of like obviously confirmation bias here, and it's anecdotal evidence, it's circumstantial at best, and you can only take my word for it. So do with it what you please. But I've been the past week, bit of a cough going on. That takes my energy levels right down. Then today, I got a perfect night's sleep last night, about 2:30, 3 o'clock. That's good for me. Good long lie, rested. And I managed to go to the shops, go and see a guy today about a dog, and get back. Didn't have to stop once. Energy levels, boom, back up.
What if everything is correcting? What
Self-correcting? Did 2020 cause the simulation to self-correct?
I made a joke. And it's a funny joke especially for some people that might be into the football thing, but I said when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, they messed up the timeline because they were never meant to win the Super Bowl. And now that they've lost, everything is order has been reestablished.
It's like
I blame the Chiefs.
Travelers coming here to make sure that they actually won it.
I blame the Chiefs for 2020 because they won.
Something weird about that? You want to know something weird about that? You know how we have confirmed that there's at least one working time machine in the world? And luckily for us, it's another content creator on YouTube down in Australia called Apex TV, right? Well, I went to take a
Oh.
look at them the other day because there's rumours that China may be building a time machine because of leaked documents that came out. I know, I just dropped that in there nonchalantly, but I tend to think everybody keeps up with the woo like me because I do shows every day. But Apex TV, Scott, have not uploaded a time traveler in over a year.
You know what? Remember, I was telling you, like my mom had stumbled across Apex.
Who broke their machine?
And then well, this is one thing I didn't mention to tell you. I asked my mom. I was like, "Hey, what's their newest video?" And she's like, well, "I don't know." She's like, "The last one was like about a year ago." I'm like, "Oh, they haven't been posting." And I was like, "I wonder what's going on with Apex."
You know, dude. When I found this out, Apex TV all of a sudden got really interesting. What happened to the one fake time machine on YouTube? We'll come back after the break and we'll have a think about that, and we'll get into the dark origins of Valentine's Day. Oh boy. Breaking hearts around the world.
Yep.
The reviews for
There we go. Yes, I tell you what, guys, when I looked into this topic today, and let me just pause for a moment and thank everyone out there in YouTube land for tuning in today. Really great to see you all. I've not had a chance to really watch the chat. Seems to be going great in there. People talking about CERN breaking the timeline back in 2012. I used to think that was ridiculous, but now I'm open to any kind of suggestion of that.
Yeah, at this point, I think we're phasing in and out of multiple timelines, and things are just generally there's something going on. There is something weird going on that I think we just cannot explain right now. There is something at a higher dimensional level is out of flux or something.
Here we go. If I just pull this up here, just so people, we done this on the pre-show stream the other day, but just so people can see it. China swears it isn't building a time machine. Now you see, Scott, how I took inspiration from this graphic here for today's.
I was just about to say, Kev, that looks very, very similar to something I saw earlier that you presented.
It's similar. It's similar. Yeah. So there's the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just for people, just so they get a quick glimpse of what we've got going on here. There we go. There's the start of our Stargate, folks. We're getting out of here real soon. Real soon. See, look at that bad boy. It's going. I just can't control where we get, Scott.
Oh, you just can't control where we go?
Yeah, I've got no control. You can see there's no chevrons like the Stargate one, so that manual didn't work.
It's just, hey, where you go is where you go.
Where you go is where you go.
You might end up on the back of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, or you might end up in some futuristic dystopic.
There you go, boys. I can only show you for a couple of seconds, but there's China's plans there for the time machine. What? Have you seen it? You seen it? Right, it's got to go. If not, President Xi he'll send Pooh Bear after me.
You might have to contact the ambassador, Kevin, have him give you the lowdown on all this.
I bet you I could get the ambassador back on like that, even after all my laughing and joking. Is it time to unleash an ambassador into the madness? I will raise all of you LARPers one ambassador. But play the ambassador card, Kev. The last card. The last card will be the ambassador.
Look over there. Just he might even be just tickling or entertaining the idea.
Oh, Scott, you know me too well, my friend. You know me too well. Now, where are we? Where's our... Let me check here. You can bring us back in, Scotty boy. You can bring us back in. I'm watching the clock.
Oh. Excellent.
Yes, indeedy. And we'll get into some Valentine's woo.
I
didn't actually think there was much woo to Valentine's, but hey, I stand corrected. There's a bit of woo there.
I did send out the playlist.
Yeah, you see, I'm not a playlist guy, Kev. I'm not a playlist kind of guy, Kev. I know. Where are we? Where's the time? There we go. Here we go, Scotty. 3, 2, 1. Add
All right. welcome back, everybody, to Freaky Friday right here on TFRLive.com. And we are simulcasting over on YouTube. And shout out to everybody on TalkStreamLive, right? .com. And, man, here we are. We're back. We were talking about some interesting synchronicities, a little bit of numerology woo. And that's the crazy thing with numerology, is that there's so many kind of like different schools of numerology that it can get very confusing as well. And
that's what it breaks down for me. You know, when you've got competing kind of meanings for numbers and things. Whoa, it's all over my head, dude.
Yeah, and my little sister, she's real interested in numerology. We actually picked her up a book on numerology over at Barnes and Noble last week, and she knows kind of a lot of that stuff. She's real interested in the astrology thing as well. You know, like where people's zodiac signs are, and where the planets are aligning, and all of that stuff. And it's just, I think, you know, it's the kind of thing where you have to study it and really understand what's going on. And I have probably a very, very base level of, like a novice level understanding of stuff like numerology and astrology and stuff like that.
Mercury retrograde, Scott. That's where we draw the line, right? We know what that does, and that's all we need to know. Hey,
remember, you and Joe mocked the retrograde, and it came back and bit you guys. And Popeye had always he was always all about the retrograde. He would always.
That'd be good on a t-shirt, wouldn't it? I'm all about the retrograde.
Yeah, all about the retrograde. Yeah, and he would always message me. Yeah, man. He's like, yeah, man, Mercury retrograde. He's like, that's why everything's screwing up right now. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. But
not just a humble chicken farmer in Florida is Popeye,
Oh, no.
Far from a humble chicken farmer.
Yes. But yeah, so where you want to go? Where do you want to go now? We going to get into this Valentine's thing? Or?
Yeah. Because Kev, I'm going to come to you, dude. Kev puts in a lot of time, kind of looking into our subjects that we do every week, and he's inspired me and Scott to kind of pick subjects. Now we kind of decide. Following today's show, we'll decide what we're going to talk about next week, or it'll become apparent during the show today.
See what you did, NeSe? You started giving people the impression that like this is a professional operation.
Scott, see what happens? See the three stages? Like first they ignore you, then they ridicule you, and before you know it, they're making out like it was their own idea, So we plan every week now. But NeSe, I had honestly thought to myself, Valentine's Day, surely, something, I mean, people giving each other flowers, chocolates being exchanged, love hearts here, there, everywhere, broken hearts along the way as well. I thought, how are we going to get any content for Valentine's Day, for a Freaky Friday? But I tell you what, then I started to have a little look around today, dude. And I know you've been taking a look around. I know Renzo's helped you put some stuff together. Talk to the audience about the origins of this not so feel-good holiday that everyone is celebrating for all the wrong reasons, NeSe.
Well, if we can utilize the Super Bowl as a segue, just like the Roman Colosseums, where before it used to be who was playing left or right spearman, now it's who's the quarterback. And if I may humbly ask Miss Pearly if she would be my Valentine's this day, because she's dear to my heart for the whole purpose that Captain Kev is here with us all at not Bakersville.
I like that. I'm sure my mum will be delighted that she has now got a Valentine this Valentine's Day coming. Yep.
Nice.
But then when you look at the Roman Colosseum and you go back in history and you find out that during this period there were individuals that were named Valentine. different versions of that word. And then you find the transition of Greek to Rome, to Roman Catholic, then to the church. You find out that at some point, a Pope, Clemens, says that, no, it wasn't Clemens, I apologize. The Pope declares February 14th as Valentine's Day. Now, as you look into the history and try to find this Saint Valentine, you find out that there was several different entities that were martyred at this time. The one that pops up most frequently is allegedly during Clemens II, the Emperor of Rome, that he outlawed marriage because he was trying to build the Roman Empire, and he believed that the soldiers would be more effective if they had no sweethearts at home, no wives to come back to. And so he outlawed marriage. So allegedly this priest or this entity who allegedly converted to the new and upcoming Christianity, he was secretly marrying these soldiers. There was also claims that if you were married, you didn't have to go into service. And so you could see how it would be definitely a reason to get married if you couldn't find other reasons. And so eventually the Pope found out that this Valentine was doing such a thing and had him beaten to death and then hung. Another entity by the name of Valentines allegedly was imprisoned also. While he was in prison, he converted allegedly the jailer of the prison, and the jailer found a fondness for him because he also helped heal his daughter who was blinded, and it was a miraculous healing. And allegedly, as he was going to be executed, he left a note for this woman, and on it it said, "From my Valentine." And so then this is the hopes or the beliefs that, you know, a Valentine was written on a piece of paper, you know, and it just kind of originates from there, because as we've discussed in the past, that the church was always pondering, how do we convert the pagans, you know? And so here we have this February, which is a magical month in itself when you find its origins, but it also was the precursor of purification prior to the new year, which actually was the springtime.
Now, NeSe, we've actually got the lovely little slides that Renzo put together for you. And we've got the calendar page up with February and the little love heart there on the 14th. Yes, indeed. Just to remind people in case they forget, you know.
Well, and there was this ancient feast of February that was also called Lupercalia. And this goes back again to Rome, where prior to Rome, there was a ruler that overthrew his brother. And in the overthrowing of his brother, one of the women offspring was held into a tower and was declared to be untouchable. And the story goes that Mars, the god Mars, came down and impregnated this woman. Upon this ruler finding out that she was pregnant, that she had the children, and the children were supposed to be drowned. And the children were put into a reed basket and put into the river. The basket washed upon the shore, and these two infants were found by a she-wolf and was nursed by this she-wolf. Their names were Romulus and Remus.
Mm-hmm.
As Romulus and Remus grew, they had many followers. They were claimed to be of high note. Well, they were especially reverend in their many talents. That they were physically fit and they were very friendly and helped everybody. And eventually, it found out that they were actually the true descendants of the heirs, or the heirs of the true emperor of Rome. So as they grew up, they went to go overthrow their uncle and get the original bloodline in control of Rome. So as they were growing up, they wanted their own, or not Rome, but the area of Italy prior to Rome. So as they both got their notoriety, they wanted their own empires. And so they went back to the area where they were allegedly suckled by the she-wolf, and they found these 7 hills. Romulus wanted the highest hill, called Palatine Hill, and Remus wanted the smaller hill called Alatine Hill. And then they went into squabbling of which should be the capital. And one claimed to see 6 vultures flying overhead. The other claimed to see 12 vultures. And so in this venture of trying to gain superiority of the other, they ended up fighting, and Romulus kills Remus. And lo and behold, Rome is created. Now,
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just. This is all. I'm remembering all of this.
Scotty's lovely. His face is a picture of delight. There's smiles. There's confirmations. There's recollections dropping in Scotty's mind. Yep.
Because this is something that I remember learning about a long time ago, long time ago, and
the whole getting raised by wolves, dude. What's that all about?
Yeah, the ancient pagan Roman origins of things is very, very interesting to look into. And like what NeSe was saying, like Mars coming down and having relations with entities on this planet. This is where it all gets into, what was going on at that time, because we're talking about some crazy sort of humanoid species battling and over something and different, like Joe Joseph said,
Yeah, this is the extreme end. This is like the extreme part of Joe Joseph's kind of analogy, isn't it? That this period you're talking about, I agree with you.
Yeah.
You're talking about entities that you only find them in that one period. These kind of, they're almost hybrids. A lot of kind of playing about with genetics.
This is when you see all of the ancient sort of text and representations of entities that look like they're chimera hybrid entities mixed with different sort, like you said, you have like the heads of a bird or a dog, but the body of something else, and something weird was going on back then. And you just can't chalk it up to just somebody deciding that they're gonna draw a person with somebody with the head of an animal.
It wasn't like the whole culture had turned into furries or anything, Scott. It's like people weren't. It's like these big Greek dudes weren't running about dressed as hamsters and things,
There was something. That's hilarious. No, I mean, right there in the chat, Nephilim. There was something going. There was genetic experimentation.
Genetic experimentation.
There was genetically modified things going on at that time, and there was something crazy going on. I mean, because what NeSe was just saying there, you know, with that, the birth of Rome, you know, the legend or the tale or whatever of how Rome was born, you know, it suggests, you know, you had this she-wolf raising these humanoid entities, and they were battling over areas, you know, they're areas of the planet, I guess you could say, that they wanted to establish a dominance over, you know, and one ended up taking out the other, and look how big Rome became. I mean, think about it in the grand scheme of things. How much of territory did Rome have under its umbrella at the height of its power, you know? So whether that entity lived to see what it eventually accomplished, what was the glory of Rome, or, you know, I guess you could say, you know, for however many years Rome dominated, which was quite a long time. Rome was around for a while. It's not like Rome was there for a couple years and then
that Vatican, as much as we like to poke holes in it, it's still around today. But they've still got a pretty big kind of footprint around the planet.
That's the crazy thing, because the Roman Empire isn't dead.
No.
Well, the Roman Empire, the Roman Empire lives. Yeah, it's called that walled Vatican City that's still in Rome today.
Okay, the crazy thing is, just as Kev said, poking holes in it, because my daughter got me a coffee and it wasn't allowing me to drink from it well, I poked a hole in the lid at the exact time you said poke a hole in things.
See, I'm telling you, Kevin, there's something going on. There's something going on. But listen, dude, I'm looking at your slides here, and thank you to Renzo for helping you put them together. Now, I was looking into this today, so I kind of know, but I want you to talk to us about where Cupid comes into this story.
Oh, let me quickly go back to Rome real quick, if I may.
Wherever,
okay.
Dude, well, I'm loving this. On you go, man.
Okay, so and remind me around halfway through, then we can get into the symbolism that we recognize with holiday, because it brings Cupid into it. But so when Rome was created, the challenge they had is they didn't have any citizens to populate Rome. So as it was done back in the ancient times, they would have these great events, you know, feats of strength and, you know, the craziness of barbarians and the Olympics and whatnot. So Rome, they said, hey, we're going to have this huge event around the feast of February, of between February and March. And they invited all of the districts to come and participate. So all of these people showed up, and at a agreed upon time, the Romans snatched up and seized all of the women. And they took all the women prisoners. And then there was a couple skirmishes and battles that happened where these districts banded together to try to get their women back. And the Romans were like, hey, you know, we promise we're not going to hurt the women, you know, but they're going to stay here to help us populate the city. And so as things progressed, then these women that were considered single or used for creating more Romans, their names were put into a jar or a box, and their numbers were there, and it was drawn. So this goes into the whole matching up men with women. And then we have, you know, what is called Lupercalian. Wait, I keep messing up this word. Lupercalian.
It's an easy word to mess up, Kevin. I struggled with that one today when I thought I was going to be talking about this, so I'm glad you're the guy trying to pronounce this. I'd Leprechalia, I'd Lupercalians, I don't know what was going on at one point, Scott.
I was looking at that word too just a second ago, because I have, I'm kind of trying to track along and follow along, looking up information, and yeah, that I'm glad NeSe is the one that has to tackle that.
Yeah.
So as they have these rituals and ceremonies, with that one, they sacrifice originally it was a baby puppy and a goat because of the alleged fertility of these animals. And after the priest or the luperus would sacrifice the animal, they would then take strips of this animal's skin, and they would, some claim that they would dab the women's forehead with the blood of these sacrifices, and it would mean a blessing for fertility or to have a less painful childbirthing. But as time progressed, there's allegations that they actually were whipping these women, and they were the priests were running around naked, and then they would be whipping the women, and then the women would actually come forth and ask to be whipped and to be participant of this occasion, which I don't know. I wouldn't be a fan of running around naked whipping women or having my mom or sister, but who knows? I'm not raised in that time period.
Exactly. Each to their own. It's quite calm behavior when you compare it to some nowadays.
Right. So then as Rome gets its empire and it continues on, and then it gets to the point of where Claudius II, does his warring, and then the Valentines, or the entities known as Valentines, occur. The Roman Church is created, and then the Pope declares, in the vein of assimilating the pagans, that we now have this Valentine's Day, which people guess it's between February 12th, February 13th, and February 14th, But when they would do this, these rituals and these bindings of marriage, one of the things, if you look at the Roman debauchery, it was kind of like, free love. And this was not regarded highly with the new established Christian church. And so they wanted to have the sanctity of marriage. They wanted to be this partnering up where, one man, one woman, and then that's considered the marriage partner. And so they continued part of this whole thing with putting the men and the women's names that were single into a jar, and hoping that it would help pairing up people.
Interesting. Yeah.
So then that kind of translates to how Valentine's Day is now, where you randomly exchange a card, where the kids kind of mix
when
up.
I was a kid, my mum used to send me cards. What's that all about? When I was a wee guy, she would send me a Valentine's card. Like, what's that all about?
Yeah, it.
But then when I got my first one, whoa! But it shows you how, we talk about Valentine's Day, but there's a heck of a lot of the other side of Valentine's Day, the broken heart side. People put so much weight into that whole modernized Valentine's Day thing that it's enough to actually put strain on a relationship if one partner or another forgets it. You know what I'm saying, Scott?
Yeah, and this is where we talk about how the original origins and all of that have become commercialized. It's the same with Christmas and all of that stuff. Now there's the modern corporate Bernaysian
Yeah.
consumer
It is,
commercial.
because look how it's got into people's minds to the point where they will fall out if a partner forgets Valentine's Day, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe
people
somebody
have,
thinks that, you know, am I ever going to find love if they've not got somebody on Valentine's Day? Whoa, whoa, you know?
yeah, people have been trained and conditioned to believe that for some reason this date holds a very significant, there's this significance when it comes to their relationship and, like, you know, their partner. And why? Here, I'll talk more about it when we get back. I have a thought on this that I've talked about before with people. We need to get into.
There we go, Scotty boy, there we go. Yes, we'll come back on your thoughts on the Valentine. Yep,
I'll be right back, gentlemen.
no problem. I'm going to put on some tunes, Scott. You can get a PPP.
Yep.
I'm going to go and fill my coffee. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes, folks. Don't go anywhere. Indeed, indeed. How dare we? How dare we? Wow, 1 hour down already, boys. That's been a quick hour, and we're coming back to Scott in a moment after the break. Very good hour there. Yep, Valentine's Day, Scott. Did you think it could produce such levels of tomfoolery?
I had a feeling it would, because, you know, all the stuff that NeSe brought up, you know, the ancient Roman origins and all that's something that I always, you know, it reactivated that in my mind. I knew that was what Valentine's Day was tied to, because I was thinking, you know, all the Cupid stuff, and then, you know, going beyond that, and, you know, all of that weird kind of old pagan mythology where it all originates from, and then, you know, it ties back into all that stuff. So
it does. So NeSe, are you back with us, brother? No, I'll bring us in, Scotty. I'll bring us in. I'll come to you.
Yes, I am.
Okay, NeSe, I'll tell you when to bring us in, right? Well, you'll hear the Wookiees. We've still got a couple of seconds yet, but you can bring us back in, bro. How's that sound? Hour 2 on the way already.
That works for me.
Here we go. Here we go, NeSe. Get ready for the Wookiees.
Once again, here we are, all you particulates of a star, February 12th, prior to Valentine's Day. Have you found your Valentine? Have you found that special gift, that one gift that's going to make up for how horrible you did at Christmas? Or that one gift that's going to get you that little extra bit of loving? You'll find out.
Ooh.
Everybody loves a bit of loving. Listen, if you want to make my Valentine's happen, please consider a PayPal donation. I'm only joking, folks. I'm only joking. We're joking. Would I forget Valentine's Day? You know, Scott, I tend to make a home-crafted gift. I think it speaks more to coming from the heart. You know. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Isn't it funny though how you get into some relationships, and I'm talking from my experience, where especially if you're kind of in the know and you know that most of these holidays are just for the commercial benefits of the banks, and you're like, well, don't buy me a Valentine's gift. And then Valentine's goes by and you don't buy them a Valentine's gift. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, why didn't you buy me a Valentine's Day gift?
You see, dude, you see
like,
that's
you
the...
told me not to.
Now you're trying to crack the biggest riddle in the universe. Listen, let's stick to trying to answer whether we're a simulation or not. If we want to start working out the minds of the fairer sex, I think that's what's way beyond me, way beyond Scott. I've been trying for 44 years. They get more confusing as the years go on.
Hey, I think it's one of the mysteries of the universe that we're never meant to crack or figure out. It's one of those ones. It's like trying to drill through quantum when you're at the very base of quantum level and you just can't get any farther. That's where
it's the bit that even that DeGrasse Tyson guy kind of raises an eyebrow and goes, "Whoa, this is like spooky action at a gender distance."
It's like trying to calculate what's happening at the center of a singularity, Kev. It's not going to happen.
Exactly, dude. It's like trying to work out what's inside a black hole, right? No light escapes there, man. You're just peering into nothing. Anywho, Scott, before I get walloped by a shoe in the back of the head, I know I've got my taxi driver haircut now, so it'll just kind of slip off the top. And Scott, stop laughing, because I see you laughing, thinking, Kev, there's a whole heap of scalp showing through that hair right now. Is it ever going to grow back? Well, stay tuned, folks. You'll get to see it every day on KBS YouTube. But Scott, you've got a theory, man. You're like a loveologist. What does your loveology doctorate give us on Valentine's Day?
No, I am definitely no, definitely no love line going on here.
No.
Remember that show line?
Yeah, I think we need some Barry White before we leave today. Oh, we need some Barry. He's Valentine's, man. If you get Barry White on, you're singing. You're halfway there, right?
Barry White, he's like the poster child. He's the poster boy for like Valentine's.
You're my first. You're my last. My everything.
When it comes to Valentine's Day for me, like I never put really any significance on the day. Like if somebody wants to give something, you know, if somebody wants to give me something, I mean, I appreciate it. If you celebrate, I'm totally. If somebody wants to give me some free chocolate or whatever, cool, I'm down with it. You know, but if you don't give me something, I'm not going to be upset either. You know, I mean, it doesn't make a difference to me. I mean, first of all, if you love the person you're with, right? If they're your significant other, your soulmate, shouldn't every day pretty much be like Valentine's Day, right? I mean,
my motto for years, Scott. I love you, dude.
Right? See, that why should you put why should one day be more significant than any of the others to show your love to?
You know, there's gonna be people out there right now going, "Oh, listen to these two. These three mansplaining Valentines to us. Oh my God."
I'm just saying, you know, whatever. I mean, I guess you could use it as one of those days, kind of like Christmas, or, you know, just to spend more time with family. You know, that kind of a thing. But really, what it all, the people you love around you, you know, and Valentine's Day, it's not just particularly for your significant other. It's to kind of show everybody around you that you love them. You know, that's why moms will write their sons a Valentine's and things like that. It's to just tell everybody you love them, and all of that. But you should be doing that every day, right? I wouldn't think that.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, you don't get Scott Lopez for one day a year. You get him 365. You get Scott love every day. You see, I like it, Scott.
I mean, can you imagine, like, doing the whole Valentine's Day thing, and then the next day you're like, yeah, I can just, you know, treat them like garbage now because Valentine's Day. It's like, what? Why? What's go? No, you should be treating that person like it's Valentine's Day every day.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. Now, Kevin, let me come back to you then. Because when does this character Cupid come into it? I'm still waiting for my wee Cupid. I liked him when I was younger. I used to think he was kind of cool, kind of groovy with his wee bow and arrow and his little hearts. And he used to hit you. And I remember being a teenager, you know, buying cards that when I look back now, the card that I was buying was like half my body size. Lucky a good wind didn't pick up on my way into school with it. I got carried away. Oh man, when you look back at your daft youth and your younger times when you think you're in love, oh my goodness. Don't we learn over the years, folks? No, I'm only joking. But NeSe, where does Cupid come into this conundrum?
Well, if we're going to get back into the Greeks and the Romans, they have these different deities, and there is a deity by the name of Ares that, wait, let me make sure this is the hardest part about trying to get all of these Roman and Grecian names
it's really
in
confusing,
order.
Kev, isn't it? It's really bad. I mean, I'm rubbish when it comes to Greek mythology and stuff like that.
I'm just I'm impressed that NeSe has been able to, you know, log a lot of these in his head already, because this is why I knew that it was rooted in Greek mythology. I just didn't have the lexicon to, you know, I mean, I didn't know which deities were what and all of that
Doesn't
stuff.
Ares get married to somebody and then gets jealous and Cupid comes along as a love child or something like that?
Well, that's... Oh, did I mute up?
No, you're here. You're here, dude. You're here.
Sorry. I'm trying to remember what her name was, but you're right where this beautiful woman...
Aphrodite.
No, Aphrodite actually gets upset at this woman because she was so beautiful that she started taking worship away from Aphrodite. And they were all, I'm just trying to remember, it'll come to me. So she gets imprisoned, and then Eros, who is a winged entity, and he falls in love with this woman. And as it goes, he tries courting her, and she's not fond of him at the time, and it almost kind of parallels the story of Beauty and the Beast. And so as time progresses, they find each other and they fall in love, and it's this whole, you know, the gods, you know, they're bickering with each other and who's right and who's left. But this Eros is a winged deity, and he was supposedly chiseled, good looking, one of the most handsome men in the world. And so then when, it is just driving me nuts, I can't remember her name. It's right on the tip of my tongue. So they fall in love, and the one thing about this deity, he had an arrow, and he was a threat.
Leona Hamilton donated $19.99 through Super Chat.
Hey, thank you very much, Leona. Thank you.
Beautiful. So
Very.
there's your Valentine's present right there.
There it is.
Yep.
So this Aries, Eros, he had supposedly 2 arrows. One arrow, and the gods were fearful of him because he could shoot you with an arrow.
Leona Hamilton donated $19.99.
In love with an entity or whatever. The other arrow was supposedly made of lead, and it would make you loathe and be resistant of anyone. And the gods, one of the claims is that Zeus, with his many, many offsprings, one of the reasons for all of these offsprings was this shenanigans that Eros was involved with.
Was it Psyche?
Psychus, yes. Yes,
Yep.
She was the one. Thank you.
I got it. Listen, I'm not just coming up before people think, wow, Kev got that. No, I'm Googling frantically in the background, folks. So, yeah.
That's what I was trying to do. It was about the. Yeah.
I hide nothing here, NeSe. I'm telling you, man, you got to be totally open or you just get bust wide apart,
Right? So then as the church continued to try to, change the pagans into Christianity, they then took this winged entity and somehow he became this cute and cuddly little chubby cherub. And we know from talking last week about the true cherubs, so it is rather interesting
now, Kevin, is that the child? Is it head on? Is this who you're talking about? Is this who becomes Cupid? No?
No, it is. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Like when you follow this here, head on, it says Eros and Psyche had a child. And the child's actually head on was the personification of the goddess of pleasure, enjoyment, and delight. But that's where the word hedonistic comes from, which I didn't know until just now. Interesting. It all ties back into these ancient things.
And this is probably where, her name was Psyche, right? Like the human psyche, or I'm sure it had some roots in that. A lot of these base words are based in that core Roman and Greek mythology and tied to the gods and crazy stuff like that. And when we describe like a lot of what was occurring back then, to me what it sounds like is you had these like different entities that established outposts in different areas of the planet and were kind of establishing their territory, right? And it kind of gave rise to these different sort of factions or something like that. I don't know. It's
I'll admit, when I first I was watching a video today, Scott, and it mentioned this Psyche character. I'd never heard of this character before, I must admit, and when I heard it, I thought, man, I must have misheard it or something, because that's not a familiar name. The only Psyche I know is when we talk about the mind, our head,
Yeah, and are we just talking about all of these entities are the same entities, just under different names for different cultures,
this is
right?
Where I get confused when people start saying Noah was Moses and Moses was this chap and goes down into the Greeks, and then I get so lost then, dude. So lost,
We're like, or when we're talking about Zeus and all of these Greek gods, are they the same entities as like Odin and Thor and all of the Nordic gods and a lot of the other sort of names for these what appear to be really, really supernatural entities that had these incredible abilities or powers, or something that was interpreted that way. You know, we could be just talking about some kind of a high technological ability that the race of humanoids that existed on the planet then just couldn't comprehend or understand. So to them, it just seemed like godlike power, right? Right. You know, when you've never even understood the concept of flight, and you see aircraft hurtling across the sky with high technological weaponry
Even
and all
if
that.
you've seen a comet streaking across the sky.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, this is where I'm saying, you know, we're talking about Odin, Zeus. Is it the same as the Anunnaki? Are these the same entities, you know, that are represented in their legends? I mean, it seems like something came down and kick-started everything.
You see, there's one thing that should be troubling about that. There's one thing that should be troubling about that to everyone, right? And it calls in the whole alien question as well, and like present day. Yeah. It seems to me, like Scott's saying, and I agree, it's like at one point we were a very, very, very busy kind of almost like a crossroads where all these different civilizations were flying through and meeting and fighting over. We've talked about the Australian kind of stories about the ancient crystal spaceship and reptilians owning the planet. And the thing is, though, Scott, right? We should be quite worried because we're the only ones that are left out of everything. And everywhere we look out in space, there's nothing alive out there. And it's only us that survived. It's only us remaining. And this starts to bring in something called, and I don't know if you've heard it, and we're going to have to do a show on this, but it's called the Great Filter. The Great Filter, that there's something out there in the universe that makes sure that a civilization never makes it beyond a certain point.
Well, that would make rather sense, you know, if you think that we possibly are a failed experiment by a bunch of engineers or scientists or
well, what do you
deities.
Make of what Scott said then, NeSe? I mean, Scotty was kind of, I like how Scott kind of framed it, you know, all sorts of things coming here. I mean, what do you think when you hear about all these kind of, like Scott said, is Odin, is Zeus another one? How does that all play out for you?
Well, he's absolutely correct, because even when you look at the saints of Christianity, you see how they correlate with the gods of Rome. And then you see how the gods of Rome correlate with the gods of Greece. Then you see how the gods of Greece correlate with the gods of Egypt. And then you see crossover with the gods of Egypt, with the gods of India, and also the gods of Mesopotamia or ancient Babylon or Sumer. You know, so is it a wonderful allegory of the rise and fall of civilization after civilization, or is it a greater reset where our planet goes through some catastrophe that more or less wipes us back into the Stone Age, and we have to start it all over again?
Look at me and Scott. We're truly cataclysmicists. We're into the cataclysm theory, right? Oh, yes. Hold on, Scott.
Leona Hamilton donated $4.99 through Super Chat. Greek husband. No cards or candy needed. Lol.
Hey, if you've got a Greek husband, it's all you need. Exactly, Leona. Well said. Well said.
Nice.
That is one thing that I have been looking into more and more, because as Scotty was talking about how it sparks up that teaching, you know, when we were younger and they talk about these Greek deities and stuff. And then when you look at them as allegories or metaphors, and they mimic the planets in our solar system.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start learning that science is basically validating the myths and these legends of yesteryear. And so it's just incredible that, you know, if we speculate right now, everything gets wiped out. We can no longer use our computers. We can't use cars or anything. It's something major happens. You know, so we would have to move out of the cities because they would become so polluted and toxic that we'd have to go back into the wilderness and start over. And if you look at the deliberate dumbing down of America, where children aren't even taught how to cursively write anymore, or even print, or even read very well, we're all caught into this whole sound bite and sending our text messages, which aren't complete sentences, no sentence structure whatsoever. And so then when we start talking, the children, they're like, oh yeah, you know, 70 years ago, I remember when we had iPhones and that. And then as the telephone game, you know, where a story gets passed on and passed on and passed on, then it's like, oh, I remember before we had this magic box that we would look into, and it would reveal pictures and images, you know, and so we can see where, you know, maybe this was way back in the day when these mystics or these people of magic would look into a mirror. So could that not also be a metaphor for a flat screen TV on the wall? And in saying magic mirror, we're saying our ground control device face, you know?
I thought you were going to go ground control to Major Tong there. I'm telling you, man. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
tomfoolery.
And, you know, like NeSe said, I mean, that's where, like, for example, when you look at the depictions of these battles occurring in the Mahabharata, right, in the Indian Mahabharata, you know, it's described as like chariots and stuff flying through the sky.
Now we're talking, dude.
Yeah, you know, and he's talking about, you know, mystics looking into mirrors and seeing something that's revealed to them. I mean, is it? Were they just using the language that they had at the time to, or a base level reference, you know, whatever their minds could try and tie to it, right? Make sense of what they were seeing, right? So when you hear depictions of like a dragon flying through the sky with a tail of fire behind it, you know, could it be a rocket that they're describing and the tail of fire coming out of the back of a rocket, or these flying chariots? You know, they could see these individuals sitting in these vehicles, so they knew that they were some kind of a transport of some kind. But what other transport existed? Well, chariot. So to them, it was a flying chariot. You know, so I think that's you know, NeSe is on point there when we're talking about like mystics looking into mirrors and stuff. And maybe, you know what, maybe there is a supernatural aspect to it too. I mean, I'm not discounting the fact that you can use a mirror for scrying and the whole paranormal, you know, supernatural aspect of all that, because I totally think you can do that. But yeah. I think maybe we're also talking about a lot of just using the lexicon that existed at the time to try and describe something that they had never seen before. And you know, it's kind of like when you see the pictures of them trying to draw, and then you like, hey, that looks like a astronaut's helmet that's on him, but to the, you know, I mean, they're just trying to show you what they saw at the time. And I think if I'm pretty sure flying chariots with what appeared to be laser weaponry, you know, beams of light flying off of them, and huge flashes and explosions that were like melting
It's like
things.
ancient sci-fi when I start to think about all that, like Mahabharata stuff, the Shiva lingas. You could equate that to possible nuclear power back in the day. Then you've got areas where they say that there must have been some kind of nuclear thing going on because you've got fused glass and heats that would produce that could only be produced by the heats produced in a nuclear blast.
See,
It's-
people.
Yeah, it's like
See,
ancient Star Wars, right?
Who would have thought that Valentine's Day would have led us to this? And look, we'll bring it back because I think we still have more on this little
We do.
Valentine's Day.
NeSe's the man. Yeah, NeSe's the man. I don't even think we finished with Cupid. We're firing like laser weapons, and Cupid's got his arrows. Any NeSe?
Hey, see the rabbit holes that spin off from this topic? It gets deep when you go back that far, man.
It's like a dum-dum arrow. It just keeps spiraling through the target, and we'll be back. We'll be back on target after the break. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Freaky Friday on TFR Live. Live. Yes, NeSe, may I take off my invisible hat? I doff my non-existent hat at your choice of topics this week, sir. Very, very good. That Mahabharata stuff. I like watching Praveen Mohan. I think that's the boy's name. He does all the kind of temples and underground structures over, like all the Tibetan stuff, the Hindu stuff. All that good thing. You see all the carvings. You see is it the negas or the negas, where it's the multi-headed snake, that kind of thing going on. There's a lot of that symbology, a lot of the kind of reptilian stuff over there.
Dude, see, this is one of a lot of the Eastern mythology stuff. I dig, and I really need to like look more into it, because the more you look into that stuff, like from India and that whole Vedic sort of mythology and all of that, it's like, whoa. And
Nagas, that's it. The Nagas snake, that's the one.
yes, yeah. Oh, they talk about that in, I believe, Thailand or Cambodia too as well. It's supposed to be this. It's supposed to still exist. There's supposed to be a Naga that dwells in the river to this day. You know, it's kind of like a NeSe like entity, or possibly a shape-shifting kind of thing.
And then
I remember
you start as well, Scott. When I look at this, I also see Shiva doing the dance of destruction and creation, and that takes us back to CERN, time machines, and back to where we begun the show. Damn, we're done. We're out of here.
There's so much woo in all of that, and so much kind of like weird stuff going on there. I mean, it makes you wonder why those bad guys in World War II were so interested in all of that. I mean, they took a lot of symbology from that. They took a lot of those expeditions looking for artifacts and texts, really focused on that whole Eastern.
I think that's why they try to demonize it away. I'm not trying to make a case for the bad guys being good guys. They done bad things, but there's parts of that whole story, like Scott's touching on here, like the occult side of things, that ancient knowledge that was being retrieved that they don't want anyone even thinking about.
They don't, and
that leads to big trouble when you get people pursuing that kind of power.
They wouldn't have invested so much time and resources if there wasn't something to it. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
You don't have the government throw that much money at something, especially when you're in the midst of a very, very intense conflict.
Yeah, there was something else going on that really could have been preoccupying their minds. There was other stuff to be getting done.
Yeah, there was a lot of things going on both the eastern side and the western side that maybe needed some attention.
But it's okay. It's okay. We can find time to send out our Indiana Jones team all around the planet. That's all right. We'll just go on a jolly collecting things here, there, everywhere. You know, we'll cut doorways out the side of mountains and. Yeah,
So
who knows?
that just kind of tells you if there was some
Here we go,
focus
dude.
on
Here
that.
we
Then,
go. Oops.
yeah.
Oops.
Oops.
Oh, the Wookiee almost went to sleep there, ladies and gentlemen, but we've still got half of Freaky Friday to go. And then we do hand off to Brent Thomas, and I got his name right again this week. That's 2 weeks on the trot. Brilliant. 3 out of 3 next week, Scott. How I got Brent's name wrong 1 week, I will never know. But he takes you through the paranormal portal, ladies and gentlemen. You'll get that on tfrlive.com.
Kev, I got it. I know. It just clicked with me now. Your Stargate is the entrant, or it's the exit from Freaky Friday, and then you come out of the paranormal portal.
That's
The
what it
portal
is, dude.
opens it. Yeah, and you just phase out of Freaky Friday and you phase into Brent's realm. Yeah, there we go.
Simple as that. See, leave it with us and we get there. See, Kev, you see how it all comes together. It's like when the A-Team used to get locked in a barn, and an hour later they would emerge with it all sorted, man. New wheels, get out of there. That's us, dude. I love it when a plan comes together, Scott.
All these all these physicists and these quantum physicists with their PhDs and all. Ain't got nothing on this, man. We've got that cracked, man.
Exactly, dude.
We can connect the dots. We can connect the dots.
I think if they were giving out ologies for woo, you'd be looking at 3 of the most preeminent woologists in the world right here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yes, indeed.
No, we established the field, Kev. We're
like an emergent science.
Yeah, we're the pioneers.
We're emerging into science that we make up as we go along. It's awesome, isn't it?
The instructors of woology.
Like it, man.
Isn't that the? I mean, couldn't you make an argument that that's what theoretical physics is?
Yeah.
Is just kind of coming up with maybe.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be the best job in the world, dude? Oh, dude, I've had my time over again. I think I'd either be a theoretical quantum physicist. Wow. Or an archaeologist, because I've got a bug for archaeology, man. That old island thing, all of our ancient woo. I can see me scraping back layers, dude. I think that'd be quite rewarding. Slowly brushing something out, an old skull or an old flux capacitor here or there, and dude.
What about a theoretical archaeologist?
I'm actually perfecting the art of being an armchair archaeologist right now.
There you go. That's a theoretical archaeologist.
A remote.
Just wait until they have robots that will go and dig for you. And you will be able to be an armchair archaeologist.
You know, when I said that there, though, Kev, an armchair archaeologist, it sounds like a guy that digs up old chairs. I don't want to be doing that. That isn't the guy I want to be.
This is a lazy boy from 1978.
So come on, Kev, take us back into your Valentine woo, man. Where do we go from here?
Eros. So Eros, being the son of Aphrodite having a problem with this very beautiful woman whose name again escaped me, Psyche. So Aphrodite curses Psyche and says, "You're going to marry a horrible, horrible looking monster." Eros, in a tomfoolery, went to go shoot somebody with his golden arrow, accidentally cut himself with the arrow, fell in love with Psyche. Psyche gets taken away to this palace and where she's supposed to take care of her own thing, almost like the parallel as I was talking about Beauty and the Beast. So Eros falls in love with Psyche and can't reveal himself because how good would it look if he falls in love with the vein of his mother? And so he would come to Psyche in the night and they would lay together, and eventually Psyche falls in love with Eros. as she is there at this domicile, she starts asking, "Can I see my sisters?" And eventually, after arguing, he said, "Sure, you can have your sisters can come and visit," but he's like, "Don't believe what they have to say." The sisters come, and they're all upset, and they want Psyche to come back. More further bickering and everything happens. Eros lets her go. Life goes into the whole Greek where tragedy follows love and everything. And so then supposedly he acts like a child. And I think this may be where, the Christianity kind of used the Eros in converting him from this beautiful looking deity man to this childish playing little Cupid of shooting each other with the arrows. So
it was to take that more pagan aspect of it and make it a more palatable Christian toned down version, where they kind of they have to bridge that gap and all of that in order to convert the population, which is what you've seen them do everywhere. And that's why you have, think about it, right? You have this Valentine's Day, which ties back to Roman pagan origins, but then you look at Christmas, right, and you got the Yule log, and that ties into Nordic, Thor, and all of that.
Yep.
And that's because they had to try and infuse a lot of the pagan traditions of wherever Christianity was branching out to at the time. The church was branching out to at the time. They had to fold in a lot of that stuff in order to try and
well Scott, look at how they used I'm a perfect example. Fort Augustus, Scotland, Loch Ness, they used the lore of a water creature there, and St Columba told the locals it was from hell, and the only way you'll protect yourself from this great beast that resides in the depths is if you take on the good book. You watch those Picts and those Celts all kind of going over to the new system, big time, dude. They converted en masse. Whoa!
Once you're able to kind of pick through that and realize that a lot of this stuff is folded in, then it helps you see the deeper meaning behind a lot of these things. And so yeah, do we have more on the Cupid stuff, NeSe, or where do we go from here?
Well, we can also look at the conversion of where up in Kev's neck of the woods, where they had Faunus, where it was more of the earthen celebratory ceremonies and whatnot. So with that whole conversion, it was very well done, as we know. But then if we look at the whole cycles of everything, we talked about Groundhog's Day, where it was used as a moment of, say, the spring is about to come. So then we have to prepare for the spring ceremonies. Then we look at the following celebration is Lupercalia or Faunus, where we have Valentine's Day for the betrothed, the heart, where the pairing up of people would happen. However, unfortunately, as we know in the negativity of the world, that who was always sacrificed to the volcano?
Yeah, exactly.
The Virgin. And so there's a very dark path somewhat, where some believe that this was a moment of selecting who the spring, the new year offering would be. And then if
Yeah.
you also look at February being the purification month, preparing for the beginning of the New Year's, but then lo and behold, 9 months later, what holiday do we have? But then we get into October and November, where the birthing of all of these children that will come about from this match made in heaven occurrence happening. and so where does it go, and where do we feel most comfortable when we look into the history of it? Because a lot of times you can find there's a positive aspect to it and a negative aspect for it. If we can take these holidays and own them to try to transmute the negativity, or at least create it positive, then is it really a bad idea that we use these goddesses of love, as a moment of the year of to be in love with your partner? But as Scott said, the whole year should be utilized for this celebration of love, because right now, when we look at this whole thing of the ceremony or the holiday of Valentine's Day, it's easy to see the commercialism of it, because as time progressed, it was over there in Kev's neck of the woods when all of a sudden the more or less hallmark of the United Kingdom started using these stories, these allegories, as an opportunity of, okay, let's start sending cards out. And so then people started writing cards, which all of a sudden turned into Valentine's Day. And then, of course, America gets involved with it, and then it's like commercialism on steroids. It is in the billions of dollars that are spent. I think it is one of the top most celebrated holiday around the world is Valentine's Day.
Yeah, because even people who aren't of faith celebrate Valentine's Day, because it's really to them it's just, oh, I get something for my significant other or whatever like that. I mean, the people, even non-religious people, put some significance on Valentine's Day. So it's one of the most celebrated holidays when it comes to that. And yes, here in the U.S., Valentine's Day is soaked and absolutely marinated in Béarnaise sauce. So, the commercialism around it all and everything, this modern day, celebration of it or whatever. It's all just, to drive candy sales and lingerie sales and anything else.
Estimated.
You don't want to see me in lingerie. It's not a good sight. Not good, Matt.
That would definitely bring my sight back.
Well, I'll tell you, Kev, it might be enough to make it stay away forever. I'm telling you, man.
But $180 billion estimated of, or 180 billion roses are shared on this day.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. If you're in the business of growing roses, in the rose business, this is your jam. This is your time of the year to rake in the cash, man, because everybody's going to be buying roses, buying flowers for people, and there's probably entire business economies that are reliant on Valentine's Day alone. It's crazy. So,
and when you look at the overall money that is spent, I have found between $14 billion and $28 billion around the world is spent, where an average $150 is spent by each couple on trying to find the right gift, trying to find the right box of candy, trying to find the roses, trying to find a restaurant that has any open reservations. So it definitely was a wonderful marketing ploy at some point.
oh, definitely, and but I think it's important that we do these breakdowns of these of these things that we celebrate, these holidays and what the true meaning behind them is. I remember, right, Kev, me, you and Joe Joseph used to always break down like Easter and stuff, because Joe was like the master of breaking down Easter, and
once a year he used to do his timeline of the New World Order, remember?
Yeah. And so
1776, Adam Weishaupt got together and created that club, and away he goes. Woo. Right?
Yeah. And that's the next significant holiday, I believe, coming up right after Valentine's is Easter. And so once Easter comes hopping around, the bunny with his eggs, and how that has anything to do with oh wait, no, that's all pagan fertility worship. And
yeah, the one article I was reading today, Scott, it was talking about this, was it Lupercalia time? I can't remember the name of that period, but it was talking about how it was really again in preparation for the fertility kind of rituals that were just around the corner,
Yeah,
getting ready for that kind of thing.
One thing is setting the stage for the next, right? I mean, it's a cycle, it's so you're preparing for the next phase that's on the way. And that's why, during the fall and the winter, all of those ceremonies and rituals are in preparation for the upcoming rebirth, right? The upcoming spring. And then the spring is the celebration of the fertility and everything, the bountiful things that you're going to reap, and get during the summer, and then during that time you're preparing the fire celebrations and all of that stuff, because of the upcoming death, and then the sun's going to be going back down, and things are going to see, because it's all preparation for the next phase. And it's a cyclical thing. And so all of this Valentine's Day stuff, it's preparing, like NeSe was getting into, getting everybody together to I'm single and ready to mingle, baby, and then it's to prepare for the fertility, the brown chicken, brown cow, and the bunny's gonna come hopping around on his Easter basket next. And
I'm surprised they haven't cancelled it yet. I'm surprised that
Leona Hamilton donated $4.99 through Super Chat. Kisses for all three of you awesome guys.
Oh, you'll make me blush. Leona. You really will. No, you really will. I've not one of those for a while. Dang, dude. It's like Valentine's has come already. It's come early.
Hey. Good. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, too, is if we look at, historically of how this holiday came about, there was a poet by the name of Chaucer that wrote poetry of love, and he was one of the original person that brought up Valentine in his poem. And again, you find all of these selected incidents to validate or solidify, hey, this is an opportunity to spend money or to use the ancient ceremonies of yesteryear.
It's funny you mention that. I'll be quite honest. Chaucer is something I'd never heard of until earlier on today. And it was one of the few articles I'd pulled up and taken a look through. Now, Kevin has gone far deeper than anything this article gets into. But the part there you talk about, it was the Shakespearean type of take on, and their spin at that time on Valentine's, and it says, as the years went on, the holiday grew sweeter. Chaucer and Shakespeare romanticised it in their work, and it gained popularity throughout Britain and the rest of Europe. Handmade paper cards became the tokens du jour in the Middle Ages. Now, eventually, the tradition made its way to the New World. The Industrial Revolution ushered in factory-made cards in the 19th century, and in 1913, oh boy, there they go, Hallmark cards of, oh, Scott, Kansas City.
Yes.
Yep.
You could thank old KC for bringing you those Hallmark cards, people.
Yeah, began mass producing Valentines. February has not been the same since, and today the holiday is big business. According to market research firm Ibis World, sales reached 17.6 billion and 18.6 billion expected this year. It's crazy, isn't it?
That's wild. It's wild, man.
You know, something the darker side. Deletion rates go up on that day.
Yep, you're absolutely correct, and I believe that is the fault of the commercialization and weaving that commercialization into culture and society, to where people feel that they're obligated to either give somebody something or receive something, or and putting significance on that, some kind of an emotional significance to it, where, you know, like I said, it goes back to what you said, Kev. A lot of people get heartbroken during this time of the year as well.
Not everybody's got a traffic code that they can fall back on, Scott, you know?
Where for some reason, you know, they feel that Valentine's Day, you know, where it's a reason for somebody to, you know, validate their existence or something like that. And, you know, that goes back to what I said. Look, it's just another day, you know. Don't put too much significance or weight on that day, and don't emotionally invest yourself in it, because you should be emotionally investing yourself into every day. You know, and
you know,
trying to put vibe.
Sorry, Scott. Sorry.
No, and just, you know, don't feel that, you know, that you're rejected or something because somebody didn't give you something on that day. You know, just don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it.
Reach out to me and Scott. We'll give you a big cuddle. NeSe is always good for a cuddle. Hey, we're here. We're here to satisfy your Valentine needs. If you want
a Hallmark card and a piece of chocolate, I'll get you that any day of the year. It don't have to be Valentine's Day.
You know,
well, look at.
On you go, Kev.
Look at the social conditioning all the way from elementary school in America that I recall about this day.
Same here. Same over here, Kev. Same here.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like a big deal. You had to get a shoe box. You had to decorate the shoe box and make it look cool. And they voted who had the best shoe box. And then you had to open up that shoe box and you didn't see a single card. You know, Charlie Brown. You know.
Yeah. You're right. What it does is it puts that social pressure on you as a young child. Right, because of the way that, you know, it's supposed to be random, and are you gonna get it? And if you don't get something, then it gives the impression that you're worthless, right? Or that people don't like you for some reason, when that really probably isn't the case, or whatever. I don't know. It just it's weird. You're right. There's like a double-sided thing to Valentine's Day, to where people feel loved, but at the same time there's probably a lot of people that feel rejected as well, and it's completely unnecessary. There's no reason for it. Like I said, we don't need to put so much significance on this. and make people feel inadequate as well. Because as many people as there are out there that feel loved on this holiday, there's a lot of people out there that don't feel loved, and it's an undue. It's an undue thing that people put on themselves. I think there's really no reason for it.
Well, and then when you get into the fact of those that have money and stuff, and then the diamond industry got involved with it, it's
dude.
You get these, you get these women that are flaunting, the jewelry they got and the gifts that they got, and it's this whole thing about, well, look at how much my partner loves me because they spent.
It also that's a excellent point. I think that's kind of what I was was trying to get at, is it also brings out the worst in people too. Those
so come back after the break and we'll give you some more love.
Yes.
Look at you guys. Look at the pros taking us out to the break and everything. I'm telling you, boys, this is good stuff. Listen, a little quick statement, and thank you to everyone for being here. If you could try and keep it roughly on topic in the chat room. I try not to police the chat at all, but use your noggins, folks. If there's some things that me and Scott and NeSe can't talk about as content creators, it tends to mean that the algorithm's looking for those topics, and it's not just listening to me, Scott and NeSe. It goes through the chat as well. So if you want to talk about a topic like that, then there are plenty of channels out there that are talking about that right now, and you can go there and talk about that. I'm not censoring anyone, but I'm not going to lose a channel of work 10 years building up because people want to talk about something that we're not even covering today. So I'm sorry I have to make that statement, but that's why sometimes you'll see the chat disappearing from the screen. And if you feel like you're being censored, like I say, there are plenty other chat rooms where you can go and talk about what you want to talk about.
Yeah, the algorithm scans the chat as well as the content that we're putting out, and so if we need you to be as thoughtful of playing algorithm gymnastics as we are, and we would definitely appreciate that. So if we're not talking about something for a reason,
we will love you long time as long as you continue to be fine.
We will love you a long time as long as if you help us out with the algorithm gymnastics. We would definitely appreciate it. So yeah,
you just don't know what new rule they'll come up with. They could probably go back and something that got said in a chat room a year ago, boom, there you go. Wow, how you meant to police that,
and they'll do that. They'll do that. They scan everything. So I mean, we're not trying to censor anybody or anything like that, but you got
to use your street smarts. You got
to use your street smarts, and
we're behind enemy lines here, boys. We're behind enemy lines.
We don't want to lose the channel. We don't want to lose the channel. We want to continue to be able to provide the content for you people.
So you can decide. We provide, you decide. Don't get us banned.
Once we pass out the code words, then we'll know better on how to utilize them.
Yeah,
but we're still trying to crack the code.
I like our little code we come up with on the fly. We're all right so far, but I tell you, it's crazy times. So listen, when we come back, we're going to get into more of this woo. Listening to you boys there talking about the engagement rings and diamonds and stuff, it's got me thinking about a kind of a metaphysical, occult kind of meaning to other types of exchanges that take place between man and woman, and man and woman now when they get married. And I'm thinking more along the lines of when we give each other a ring. A ring! What a funny thing to give anyone, unless it's some symbolic gesture to the rings of something else. The rings of Saturn. A little bit of Saturnalia thrown in there when we come back, I think.
Mm.
Yeah. See,
Good old.
just sprinkle on this love topic.
I mean, hey, that all ties into the ancient Roman stuff as well.
Yep. Here we go. You do the do, Scotty.
Okie dokie. Welcome back. We are in the final hour of Freaky Friday.
Already.
Here. Wow. Once you go down that Valentine's
Scott,
rabbit
be
hole.
honest. Did you think we would get this much content out of this? I didn't.
I knew it was a big chocolate box and that it was going to be difficult to navigate. And, but wow. I mean, this is a crazy, because there's so many things that tie into it. I mean, there's been so many kind of detours and sidetracks that you can jump off with this because it goes so far back. And I think the farther back you go, then it leads back into so many different topics that branch off from a lot of this stuff. So
it's like an ever-increasing plethora of woo the further you go into it.
And this is what you find anytime you dig into any of these holidays or celebrations, or these mass sort of celebrations that have been tradition for so long, and it makes you go, well, why have we put so much significance on this particular time of the year or this day, for so long? And it all ties back to some of these big, obviously significant events that occurred, and for some reason, the rippling effects of that are still felt to this day, to where we're still engaging in these ceremonies and these rituals. And yeah, sure, it's commercialized now and sprinkled with béarnaise sauce, and there's an entire sort of monetary element to it and all of that, but it's still based in those root traditions, and we still celebrate them, and so it's just important for people to know like what they're engaging in, that they might not even realize, right? Like you're engaged.
Well, there you go. There's a good place to put it, Scott. Engagement rings. And I was just saying during the break, this ties in with love. It's the same kind of topic. I would imagine there's probably lots of people decide Valentine's Day, perfect day to get married, right?
Pop the question.
Yeah.
Pop on Valentine's Day,
taking the knee for a right reason. Not just because you're at some sporting event, virtue signaling or something like that. Oh, did I go there? But yes, engagement rings, wedding rings, the exchange of rings. Where on earth did that come from? And absolutely, De Beers and all these diamond companies and things like that, they love all this. But it goes back to a far more ancient time, like everything does. And the rings of Saturn. And you start to get into this whole Saturnalia type topic. And I remember very early on in my Kev Baker show career, too early on when I look back now, I really regret speaking to the legend Jordan Maxwell so early on, because I would like to think now I'm a better interviewer, I would ask better questions, I would know more to have a better conversation with somebody like Jordan. But one of the things that always sticks out in my mind is the whole Saturnalia brotherhood. From the robes that the judges and people like that wear, to the court. It's like a game of tennis, back and forth. And then you get into the whole, he explains how the banks work, and money and rivers, and it hits one bank onto another bank. And then the wedding rings. The rings of Saturn. So, on you go, Scotty. I mean, this is like Saturnalia deep woo, because I remember Anthony Patch as well. All the shows we done with Anthony. Saturn, dude.
Every time I think of Saturn, I think of old Patch, man, and Patch was on the Saturn stuff. He was on
it, dude.
So
On you go, Kev. Go for it.
Okay,
Go
so
for
when
it.
we were talking about this feast or this time period, so we talk about Faunus. Faunus can be traced back to Pan. Pan can be traced back to the sun god. The sun god can be traced into Nimrod, and then we get into this Juno Feberato, the goddess of love. And so this is the time of gathering and getting married, because time will tell. Coronos can be traced back to Saturn. And how do we validate marriage but by the wedding ring? So you see all these correlations are there if you're willing.
Scotty's
let me-
jumping at the bit, man. This is old school conspiratorial kind of lore we're getting into here, man.
This is good. This is excellent. And look, I just made this connection in my mind as well. In modern times, right, when we observe a solar eclipse, what is it known as when the very edge of the sun is just about to disappear, and just before it becomes a solar eclipse? They call it a diamond ring because there's a tiny fraction that's lit up, and then there's a thin ring, and it's called a diamond ring at the solar eclipse. So you've got that going on as well. But no, this is old school. This is old school conspiratorial 101. And as soon as NeSe brought up Nimrod, I immediately thought of our friend Kristan T. Harris, because he is all about the ancient Babylonian mystery schools and Nimrod. And, this is when we start getting into talking about Easter, which will be coming up soon. And we'll probably end up breaking this down as well, because
we're doing an Ishtar special. You know it, man.
The egg in the river and all of that stuff, and how that all ties back. So no, I mean, just something as simple as what Kev brought up about getting engaged and putting that ring on your finger. It's a tradition that's been around. This is just something that we don't even really think about. Oh, you get married, you buy your significant other a ring, but what does all that represent, and how does all that tie back? And well, NeSe just kind of broke that down for us, going all the way back to those, ancient Babylonian mystery schools and Nimrod and all of that stuff.
And as we continue these traditions, what is one of the things that we purchase in abundant on this day? The red rose. And can anybody think of any iconography or symbolism that comes with the red rose?
Well, when you say red rose, I think Rosicrucians, but that's because I've got a weird mind.
Well, absolutely. And if you were to type in a search and just write political leaders with the red rose, it is all over the place, because allegedly, according to the Knights Templar and their iconography and symbolism, the rose had a very high meaning to them, because, we all know about the beautiful red rose. We know about its smell and everything, but there on the stem, we have its thorns, and being led through the rose garden by our noses, the Fibonacci that can be found within the rose and how it grows and its petal orientation.
I'm looking at the search results for Templar Rose here, Kevin, and 3 down, we've got it goes right into the Rosicrucians. Yep. Yeah.
Also, I want to point out, you scroll back up there. There you go. It's that 5-point.
Yep.
That 5-point symbol, that's built into the Templar rose.
Yeah,
it's
That's the
in
that's the exact one, Scott. Like you say, the 5 bits, man.
Yeah, it's an inverted 5-point star. You know, if you drew it out. So that's
And it says here, of all the flowers, the rose is a singular example of the natural form that has been included in symbolism of many cultures, spiritual traditions and folklore throughout centuries, and throughout its history, the rose has caught the imagination of the masses. This flower has been used as a symbol in a variety of forms, from one of romance to duality, celestial perfection and earthly passion, to wisdom, and many more, by various groups, cultures, and individuals. As it is such a complex symbol, let's take a look at some of the uses and by whom. According to Merriam-Webster, a rose is, quote, of usually prickly shrubs with pinnate leaves and showy flowers having 5 petals in the wild state. And this comes from Greek mythology. The rose was created by Chloris, the goddess of flowers, and one day she found the lifeless body of a nymph in the woods and turned her into a flower. Chloris called upon Aphrodite, who gave the flower beauty, and Dionysus, who added nectar to it, gave it a sweet fragrance. Zephyrus, god of the west wind, blew the clouds away so Apollo could shine and make the flower bloom.
Look, can I stop you for a second?
Of course you can.
I just, to me, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like terraforming a planet and introducing a new form of vegetation, or genetically creating some kind of a plant that could grow on the surface. So I'm just kind of...
No, but you're right. You've got to try and read in between the lines, because it's all code. It's all hidden. Who knows, dude?
Yeah, I know. But to me, I mean, it sounds like entities coming up with different traits of a flower that they want to produce that can grow. Because for all intents and purposes, what it described there is a flower that didn't exist before, and that was created by these entities and put on the planet. I mean, that's what I gained from that, and it just makes me go,
Yep. Well, let's see what else it says here.
Well, also,
on you go, Kev.
So
Yeah,
also, as we look back there, as we've been talking about that the rose is conditioning of love, and we talked about who is the goddess of love, Aphrodite. Where does Aphrodite come, and what planet? Venus. Venus is Aphrodite, and so it just keeps interchanging, and we're somewhat oblivious, to all of this unless we take those extra moments. And who has any extra moments?
I've got
to
loads
do this
of
kind of
extra
research.
moments. We've got loads of extra moments, but red rose is said to symbolize martyrdom, love, passion, immortality, memorial, courage and fortitude, fervency and zeal. And interesting, you come down here, this is where it gets really good, because it says, keeping with Christianity, the rose is associated with the Virgin Mary, as well as the martyrdom, passion, charity, and resurrection of Christ. The red rose specifically is the symbol of the blood of Jesus, as it is said that a rose bush grew from the site of the Christ's death. Now, with the rose's beauty, it is also contrasted its thorns. We're also reminded of the crown of thorns the Saviour wore, and thus we see the rose become the ultimate symbol of Christ's sacrifice. And with a 5-petaled rose, whoa, what's going on? Who's that? Is that
Oh,
NeSe?
damn it. I'm sorry. I thought I was muted. My bad.
It's alright, he's playing with Dreamcatcher and getting a portal opened over there, folks. That's what's going on. There's a chicken foot flying about.
That was a little PPP banging going on there.
I thought that's what it was. I love it. with a 5-petaled rose. We also see the symbolism of the passions of the blessed Redeemer and the wounds he suffered upon the cross. But then it goes into Islam. And I like it when we see the different kind of takes on the same thing.
I totally do too. I
Yeah.
mean, we have to look at all angles, all cultures, all
Exactly.
religions, and just look at it non-biasedly, man, and see what they
Exactly,
got.
dude. It's just information. In Islam, the rose signifies the blood of the Islamic prophet Muhammad and his 2 sons. A white rose appears as a symbol of purity and martyrdom, of the straight path and the paradise that awaits those martyred in cause of God in Islamic culture. Now, the red rose was also considered a symbol of martyrdom, but particularly signified a violent struggle more broadly than the white rose. In Masonry, there is a great deal of use of the rose in our ceremonies. I like that. I like it, right? It's kind of writing about other people, and then when it gets to Masonry, the author writes about our ceremonies.
I was just about to say, I like how they just completely separated Masonry from everything else.
Yeah.
And like, we've got our own set of rules. We got our own set of what's going on.
You know this is coming from Masons. So our ceremonies and rituals, as it's a very appealing symbol, in Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma, it says the rose was anciently sacred to Aurora and the sun. It is a symbol of dawn, of the resurrection of light and the renewal of life, and therefore of the dawn of the first day. Wow, this sounds like Jordan Maxwell again. He's got a whole kind of presentation called The Dawn of the New Day. Wow. And more particularly of the resurrection. And the cross and the rose together are therefore hieroglyphically to be read, the dawn of eternal life, which all nations have hoped for by the advent of a Redeemer. Ooh. In the Scottish Rite. Oh, big shout out to the Scottish ones. Frank, I hope you're listening. The rose has special connections to some of the degrees. In the 4th degree, one of the virtues espoused is silence, whereby we are reminded of the white rose. In the 18th degree, which is referred to as the Night Rose Croix, or Red Cross, or a Rose Cross or Red Cross, where the cross used is one that all 4 limbs are the same size to denote balance. Rex Hutchins, a 33 degree, oh boy, he states, in Masonry.
Rex is a big boy. He's one of the big.
Yeah, I better roll up a trouser leg and stand on one foot and do some crazy hand signals or cover an eye or something. In Masonry, the rose has taken on the meaning of immortality. Surely the idea of immortality is as old as the rational man. The Neanderthals buried their dead with their possessions, possibly believing that the deceased would still have need of them. The most ancient mythologies speak of men-made gods to dwell forever in the heavens. Immortality is the quintessential hope of all mankind. For many, it is the very source of virtue. For others, only an absurd superstition. Therefore, Masonry teaches only the hope of immortality, but still the literature of the craft, capital C, kill brackets, abounds with the expression of the soul's immortality, and time has forged into a creed, if not a doctrine. Ooh. And then we've got Russell Bodecker, a 32 degreer. 32 degree. He's not there yet. Look at this, Scott. In his paper, Scottish Chemistry. Ooh.
Oh. Okay.
One of the most used symbols in alchemical art. Oh boy. Now we're getting towards the good stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Was the rose. The rose is a symbol of completion, attainment, and perfection. It is also used, or it can also be, an emblem of regeneration. The original symbol of the Rosicrucian fraternity was a hieroglyphic rose crucified upon a cross. The cross
There
was
you
often
go.
raised on a 3-step pedestal. Oh, Scott, like a pedestal on top of the Black Pyramid. Representative of the crucifixion. In the 10th degree, there is a rose above 3 arches. This may be symbolizing a form of the crucifixion. As we've seen, the rose has reached throughout the realms of time to touch the global culture. Oh, it has indeed. But you think about that, boys. I'm not a big flower guy, as you probably would have guessed. But nature, we heard perfection and things like that there been talked about. When you look at a rose, I mean, it's absolutely, it is what it is. It's stunning.
Yeah, if of course, and this goes to what NeSe was touching upon about like the Fibonacci sequence and a lot of the mathematics that are found within nature itself, and people recognize this. People saw this, and that's kind of the basis of a lot of the, well, obviously this has got to be some kind of intelligent design, right? Because you don't have such perfection that just forms out of chaos, right? There has to be some kind of a guiding force behind it in some way. And, whether it be we're talking about simulation theory or the traditional Christian origin story, or the Big Bang, or whatever we want to talk about here. I mean, even if we're talking about like the Big Bang, well, something had to create the Big Bang. I mean, and what was that? How did that come about? I mean, was it a flip of the switch? Was it the simulation turning on? In the Bible, first God said, "Let there be light." I mean, are we talking about the light of data transfer through a
light being a frequency?
Yeah, light being a frequency. There's so many different ways that could be interpreted. That we're talking about many different descriptions of the same thing, I think, here, and people are kind of we're stuck bickering and arguing about what we're called the same thing that's being called different. It has many different ways of being described, but we're all talking about the same thing here, and I think that's what people need to realize. But no, the rose, like I said, I mean, you got it pulled up right there. It's a perfect representation of the Fibonacci sequence. And
if you look,
go ahead.
If you look at the rose too, as far as frequency goes, out of all of the flowers in aromatherapy, that the frequency of a rose is one of the highest. And in aromatherapy, that it is scientifically measurable that when you use rose oil on your body, it will help raise your own frequency. And it takes 500 pounds of rose petals to make 0.05 milliliters of oil.
Whoa.
So it definitely was regarded as a essential thing, because every rose has its thorn.
Yeah, it's great having somebody here that can sing, isn't it, Scott? Isn't it?
Yeah. It's there's certain, going back to it had importance in alchemy. They obviously had they knew that the rose had some significant properties to it. And and there you go, Kev. I mean, it confirmed your whole, when the Rosicrucians popped in your head. Right there.
I think we'll go there after the break. We'll dive into the Rosicrucian order. Oh boy, this is one they don't want you talking about. I hate when people say that. Oh, they don't want you talking about this. So corny and so cheesy, because you're about to talk about it and nobody's stopping you. Do you know what I mean?
this is the topic they don't want you to know
Yeah,
about.
but we're going to be able to talk about it anyway. Granted,
Yeah.
there's only
Mama
100,
always
you know, a
said,
couple hundred people or a couple of thousand people listening, a couple of hundred over on YouTube. But I know, but we'll go for it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Mama always said that Freaky Friday is like a box of chocolate.
Or yeah, who knows what that line says in that movie now? I've not checked the Mandelas lately, boys. That stuff. Ooh, who knows? Your favorite movies are changing everywhere, you know.
I have a weird Mandela, and I don't know if it's just I don't know.
Come on, man, throw it in quickly before the break. Get it in there. Come on.
I can't. Well, okay. It has to do with Woodstock '99 and the Limp Bizkit performance at Woodstock '99.
Oh.
Yeah.
We'll get into this after the break, and we'll get into the Rosicrucians as well, and then we'll hand over the Chalice of Woo. You know, the one that sits at the bottom of the money pit in Oak Island. Well, we've got it here, and we'll hand it over to Brent Thomas, and he'll take you through the paranormal portal. But we've still got one segment coming up right here on Freaky Friday. Can you handle one more segment of Woo? Of course you can. We'll be right back.
You can bet your heart on it.
What is it good for?
Oh, dude, I like that. And again, listen, I was almost hovering over NeSe's name there on the. I don't know what like I got a brain fart every week.
I laugh every time because, you know, like when Kev goes to hang up on the host during the break, you know, it pops it up on my camera so you can see, and you see Kev's cursor go over NeSe's thing and then start frantically like moving around like, no, I don't want to do that. And
It's like Dave's like, go on, do it. Go on, do it. Just annoy people, do it.
I think it's more of that subconscious fear that I'm going to dance on the edge of those words.
We've taken all the rough edges off you now. We've shaped you, man. We've broken you. We've made you algorithm friendly. People will hate me for it, but I don't care. It's all right.
In my Bane voice, we've molded you, NeSe. We've molded you. You're no part of us.
Love it. Coffee.
All right. Yes. The rose thing, very, very interesting. There's many different flowers that have really significant effects like that. One or plants and herbs and all that. One that comes to my mind is lavender. The benefits of lavender, and I found that anytime I'm in the presence of lavender, it immediately I feel like basically kind of like it raises my vibration. It puts me in a really good vibe. So.
Well, it's interesting how when we think of all of our different senses, that in our nasal cavity and all of the receptors that we have there, it is connected so deeply to memories that when we smell something, we can instantly be transported to that memory of something wonderful or something horrific.
Yeah. It's like if you smell a perfume or something that maybe your grandmother or something wore, and then it just immediately reminds you of like, boom, being at her house or something when you were a kid or something like that, right? You know, there are those scents that just can trigger a memory just like that. And of course, I mean, I think that's hardwired into us as far as when it comes to survival and learning. You know, there's a whole aspect of that to it, because, you know, if you're trying to survive and you smell something that ended up making you sick when you ate it off a bush, you know, when you're out in the middle of you know, when you're in survival mode out in the wilderness or whatever, you're going to remember that smell so you don't make that same mistake. You know, it's a hardwired learning sort of thing that we have. But Nah.
And if I can quickly throw in there while the captain is gone, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, bring them back next week. Check out the Kev Baker Show on tfrlive.com. Send them in those super chats. Make sure that his PPP supply is always abundantly at hand.
Thank you very much, NeSe. Thank you
he's
very
back.
much. Yeah, I'm going to bring back the network. Here we go. Yeah.
How dare you?
There we go. We're back. We're live. One segment to go here on the show. And I can't believe it. This has been a really fast show. It's been awesome. We've been getting into the darker side of Valentine's Day, and it's led us in so many different directions. And just before the break, you were talking about Mandela's, Scott. What's happening with Woodstock 99, man? Come on.
Okay, I mean, this is, okay, so as we know, Woodstock 99 ended up being a giant disaster for those of you who know or remember anything like that. There was essentially a riot that broke out at the end of Woodstock 99, and they ended up burning down a lot of the place and looting these food trucks and just generally causing havoc. And a lot of the blame for that was put on the band Limp Bizkit and their lead singer Fred Durst for kind of inciting the crowd. And anyway, so there's footage of their performance there. Now the Mandela, this is where the Mandela comes in. I remember there was like a piece of plywood that people were carrying through the crowd, and that Fred Durst was like surfing on this piece of plywood. Okay.
As you do it with something like Woodstock, as you do.
Yeah. Now, I go back and look at the footage, and it's a fan that's on the plywood. And they're like, there's this famous footage of a fan that was, surfing on the plywood. And I was like, no, it was Fred. He was down there. Fred Durst was the one. Maybe at one point he jumped on it or something, but I always remember this quote unquote famous footage being him on the plywood and not this fan. So that's a weird kind of personal Mandela for me, unless other people out there remember otherwise. But when we're talking about Mandela, nobody's really wrong. It's how the person remembers it, And so maybe those of you out there remember the fan on the plywood, but if you remember it being Fred on the plywood, because
I know there could be people sat at home right now going, no, that was definitely the dude Scott saying that ain't a fan, and they're going and looking and they're thinking, wow, it's changed. I know that's happening to people right now.
It's got to be.
Oh, go ahead. I mean, no disrespect, but I'm not a big fan of Limp Bizkit.
No, neither am I. I'm just saying. I remember, because I remember watching Woodstock '99 or seeing the aftermath from it, and there were a lot of bands there that I did like. I like Korn and all of those other bands there, but I was never a big Limp Bizkit guy because I don't like Fred Durst and his attitude and all that stuff. But I specifically remember. I mean, for me, I remember Fred Durst being on that piece of plywood with his mic, with the microphone, and now it's a fan. So that's my Mandela. That's my Mandela. I don't know. If some of you out there remember otherwise.
So since it's near the end of the show, we have to touch upon the deepest.
Okay, one second before you get there, though, Kev, right? Because Deborah has said it was definitely Fred on the board. Definitely Fred on the board, Scott. So it's not just you.
So Deborah. Did he confirm it too?
Algo,
he said for sure.
Algo for sure, yep.
Yeah, so if you guys go and look now or whatever, or whenever you have the time, or look up the footage from Woodstock 99, you're going to see that it was a fan. And I don't remember it being a fan. It's a fan that doesn't have a shirt on. He's just like,
I think this is brilliant because you've had confirmation in the chat. There's people that share this with you, so that makes it something.
yep.
Love it. Sorry, NeSe. Sorry, I had to jump in there before we moved on, but I'm going to hand
No challenge.
the challenge, the challenge, forget the challenge, the chalice, my friend. The chalice of Woo is passed to you.
Well, as we sent those images to you and you go through it, one of the quintessential symbolism of Valentine's Day is the heart.
Yes.
When we see this, when it comes to Valentine's Day, and mind you, the symbol of the heart does not look like the heart in the human body at all. But when we see this symbol, we always see it red, blood red, engorged, with a few drips of blood at the bottom of it, and it is pierced by a phallic symbol, whether it's an arrow or a sword, and sometimes it's shown with a crack in it. And we ponder, where could such a symbol come from? Gentlemen, do you have a guess?
I'm willing to guess. I'm willing to guess that this is a representation of the nether regions of one of the opposite sex of me and Mr. Baker.
Yeah.
We have us a winner. Ding a ding a ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Yep, I was kind of childishly giggling as well because when you look at the heart that's been depicted here in your slides, it's certainly reminiscent of other things, shall we say.
And if we can be clinical, we can be clinical here because there are scientific names called the labia major.
Yep.
And as the
Sounds
labia
more like
major,
an astrological type thing.
we launched a rocket to explore labia major.
right, all hail the matrix. Because as we open up the labia major, we will see that at the bottom of the taint, where it comes together as a point, it arcs out like a V, and then it comes over in an arc and connects together at the hood, or respect the womb, man. And lo and behold, there is the heart of the matter right there. Plus, when you show this symbol, it always shows those tiny 3 little drops where, in the event of this opening being firstly spelunked, what occurs when the hymen is broken, and then it goes back into that ancient ritual of selecting the visual, the virginal, the selection. Who do you go for?
Exactly. I'm glad I didn't have to make that choice in some Roman. Yeah. That, and of course, that was always a thing. Like, I always wondered as when I was young, and of course, obviously, this wasn't going to be the explanation that I was going to get as a young child, right?
Well, let me tell you, Scott, this is how it is.
Yeah, boy, let me tell you, boy. Let's break down what this symbol really means here. You ever heard of the birds and the bees?
There's a star system, son.
There's a star system.
Oh, dear Lord.
To boldly go where no man has gone before, into the void.
Now I know why I'm fascinated with being a spaceman, Scott. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
Ground control to Major Kev.
But it always, like, when, growing up and whatever, I'm like, how come the symbol of a heart doesn't look anything like the anatomical, representation of a heart? I'm like, well, why not, I never understood, what the symbol was. And so here we go. I mean, that this is This is an explanation of the origins of that symbol and why it represents what it does. And so, hey,
Luna, close your ears. You're far too young to be listening to this stuff right now. Yeah.
You know, I want to see that star, with the rainbow behind it come across the screen. It's like, the more you know. Yeah.
This public service announcement has been brought to you by the letter.
There's been some show today, guys. I tell you, we've been here, there, and probably just about everywhere, right?
Consensual, of course.
Of course. Now, let's deep dive into one of these subjects you're not meant to talk about. Oh, the Rosicrucian.
After tonight, I don't know if we're going to be allowed to talk about the shape of the heart.
No, probably not. The Rosicrucian is a member of a worldwide brotherhood, claiming to possess esoteric wisdom handed down from ancient times. The name derives from the order's symbol, a rose on a cross, which is similar to the family coat of arms of Martin Luther. Rosicrucian teachings are a combination of occultism and other religious beliefs and practices, including Hermeticism, Jewish mysticism, and Christian Gnosticism. The central feature of Rosicrucianism is the belief that its members possess secret wisdom that was handed down to them from ancient times. The origins and teachings of the Rosicrucians are described in 3 anonymously published books that have been attributed to Johann Valentine, or should that be Valentine? Andre, a Lutheran theologian and teacher who wrote the Utopian Treatise, Christianapolis in 1619, the Fama Fraternitatis, or something like that, of the Meritorious Order of the Rosy Cross, and the Confession of the Rosicrucian Fraternity, and the Chemical Marriage of Christian Rosencreuz, and recount the travels of Christian Rosencreuz, the putative founder of the group, who is now generally regarded as a fictional character rather than a real person. According to the books, Rosencreuz was born in 1378, and lived for 106 years. They didn't call him Methuselah for nothing, So after visiting the Middle East and North Africa in search of secret wisdom, Scott, Kevin, that sounds like the bad guys we were talking about earlier on. Out searching the world, Nothing new.
Wait, you're telling me that there's things out in the desert, out in the Middle East, in that whole area of that have been of interest to people for however long?
Well, it gets even better because this cat here returned to Germany and organized the Rosicrucian Order in 1403. He erected a sanctuary.
Sounds like they had a little. Germany had a little bit of a history of sending people out there.
Yeah, they like the
stuff.
Indiana Jones thing. He erected a sanctuary in 1409 where he was entombed after his passing in 1484. The alleged discovery of the tomb 120 years later became the occasion for the public announcement of the order's existence. The secretive nature of the early brotherhood, and I still think it's mad how we're talking about Valentine's Day. We've ended up on the Rosicrucian, and the guy who's at the heart of this is called Johann Valentine Andre. Crazy. The secretive nature of the early brotherhood, if it actually existed, it did, and I think it still does.
Yes.
Would have made contact with it difficult. The combination of alchemy and mysticism associated with it, however, became quite influential. Oh, you better believe it did. Rosicrucianism was attractive to many thinkers throughout Europe, possibly including the English philosopher and scientist Francis Bacon.
And you can't forget Sir Isaac Newton, which we talked about.
Yep.
The other week, and his alchemical it seems like he was his his alchemical escapades and his possible associations, and maybe even rubbing shoulders with a lot of the Rosicrucians. So this ties completely into what we were talking about the other week. Yep.
Big time, dude. It declined dramatically in the 18th century, however, a victim of skepticism and rationalism of the Enlightenment, though some Rosicrucian ideas survived in speculative Freemasonry. In the 19th century, new Rosicrucian societies appeared as part of a general occult revival that took place in Europe and the United States. Was it a revival, or did they just come out of the shadows again?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, we didn't have good PR before. We weren't really
we're back.
we were frowned upon, but hey, we're back.
First, the Rosicrucian fraternity was established in San Francisco. Hey, in 1858.
Hey, I'm back.
By the American spiritualist and abolitionist Pascal Beverly Randolph. Several groups, such as the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia and Societas Rosicruciana in Civitatabius Foederatus, founded in England in 1866 and 1880, respectively, emerged out of Freemasonry. The two most successful modern Rosicrucian organizations were established in the 20th century. Oh, that sounds cool. The ancient mystical order, Rosicrucians, was founded in New York in 1915 by H. Spencer Lewis. Claiming that he had learned the teachings of the order from European Rosicrucians, Lewis attracted new members from around the world by distributing his teachings in mail-order lessons. Regarding Egypt as the cradle of Rosicrucian wisdom, he subsidized the creation of a highly acclaimed Egyptian museum at the group's headquarters in San Jose, California. I wonder if they came into contact then with Crowley and his kind of his escapades over to Egypt. You know what I mean?
I bet you gotta wonder. I mean, because from what it sounds like to me, it was like the Rosicrucians were trying to take ancient knowledge from various different sources, much like we do, where we look at all different religions, all different texts from all different cultures. They kind of realized that everything seemed that there was something of value in a little bit of everything, and they kind of mashed it all together and formed their own kind of thing here, this Rosicrucian order. So it does make you wonder, like, what knowledge do they know? Because it sounds like they weren't just bound by one particular dogma or boxed in by one particular thing. They were looking at Jewish stuff. They were looking at all kinds of various different things.
Well, and it's interesting here, right? Because I'm seeing Rudolf Steiner, and this is weird because Ilana Freeland, she reached out to me there last week, I think. She's a Rudolf Steiner graduate. She's been to that kind of schools. There was somebody in the chat room the other day was a Steiner graduate as well. So this is quite interesting. There's synchronicities flying throughout this whole show tonight, which is weird after our 11 February thing yesterday, Scott. If you weren't here for that, don't worry about it. It's just weirdness flying around. It flies around us all. So it says the other important modern organization is the Rosicrucian Fellowship, whose founder, Max Heindel, attended lectures in Germany by the Theosophist Rudolf Steiner. After publishing purportedly secret doctrines against Steiner's wishes, Heindel taught a form of Rosicrucianism heavily influenced by Theosophy. Oh, that takes us towards Madame Blavatsky and the Vril and the Thule. And oh my word, that takes us back to the bad guys in World War II. The Rosicrucian Fellowship was founded in Seattle in 1909, and it inspired the creation of other groups, including the Lectorium Rosicrucianum. Wow. Which was founded in the Netherlands in 1924 at the Bilderberg Hotel. I'm only joking, folks. I'm only joking. By two of Heindel's Dutch students, Jan van Rickenborg and Catherine de Petrie. Closed by the bad guys, it was reorganized after World War II and subsequently became a worldwide institution. Imagine it finished off with the bad guys. Couldn't make it up.
Was it closed by the bad guys, or were they just pulled to the side? Yeah, were they just pulled to the side and said, "Hey, what you got? What do you know?"
Look, they don't realize it, but there's a flux capacitor over there. Look.
They're like, let's dig through those books you guys got. Oh, there's some interesting stuff over there in the Middle East. Better get a team out there.
Then you had that crazy Iraqi guy called Saddam who thought he was Nebuchadnezzar, and that starts. You see, NeSe, what a wonderful rabbit hole you opened up for us today, my friend. I can only thank you for your choice of subject. It was awesome. What are we doing next week, NeSe?
I was thinking about maybe saving the universe.
Well, how about we go for Nibiru, the Anunnaki, some of that. So look, listen to him, he's loving it now. You like that, Kev?
One thing that I did want to share.
Go for it, dude. All you, man.
One out of 5 individuals will be purchasing a Valentine's gift for their furry friends, for their pets. Please make sure that you avoid chocolate for dogs and the flowers lilies around cats. And love your pets. Get them neutered and spaded.
Oh, now listen, folks, listen. Now, wait a minute. We've got very, very, very esteemed company in the chat room. And I'm firing up the Stargate because Brent Thomas is in the chat room. The paranormal portal awaits, ladies and gentlemen. You just have to walk up my little steps and it will take you there. You step through that and you'll be in the promised land with Brent and Don Longbeard and everything that happens behind the paranormal portal. Right here on TFR Live and on YouTube. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. Do you like that? Do you like how, see, that's the part. I mean, come on. Nobody gets a segue like that, right?
No, exactly. And like I was saying earlier, I mean, Kev has created the transport vehicle that can teleport everyone from Freaky Friday, and then you will emerge from the paranormal portal, and you'll be with Brent, and he'll take it from there, and the woo factor will just continue to accelerate from that point on.
I must admit, I'm quite impressed with that.
Oh, I'm very impressed with it. The way that orb pulsing mass in the middle of the Stargate, you nailed it. You nailed it, buddy.
Yeah, I've got it built, so now I just need to fly around it, get some smoke in there, get some reflection, some light. I'll tell you, man, it'll be like Michael Bay threw it together. J.J. Abrams, he's on the phone every day. I'm like, come on, dude. Less of it, man. I've got streaming to do.
New Star Trek movie? Nah, you ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing on Kev's graphics.
I'm telling you, dude. Maybe I should just make like a sci-fi series. In the end of the day, people tell me I'm way out there and I live in the land of fiction anyway, which nowadays is the place everyone lives, so...
You're gonna call it the Wookalorean or something?
Oh, indeed. I like it, man. The Wookalorean.
Yeah.
I like that, yeah. That was a mic drop moment. That finished the show, the Wookalorean. Ladies and gentlemen, Scotty Lopez. NeSe, let me come to you. Thank you for today, bro. Wow, man. Did he lay down the woo, or did he lay down the woo, Scotty?
I had a feeling that once we started going down the Valentine's Day rabbit hole, that it was going to invoke some interesting conversation and that spin off into some crazy topics. And sure enough, I mean, as usual, NeSe delivered with some excellent content and a little, digging into the origins of all of this, and good stuff, man. Very good stuff. I definitely enjoyed the conversation tonight.
Well, because it is such an incredible opportunity, and I feel so wonderful to be here with you two gentlemen. I always want to bring you guys my A game, because it is a privilege and it is an honor. And thank you to the chat room and the listeners that make all of this possible.
We've had to raise our game. It's been good for us as well, NeSe. About 300 odd episodes in. He probably more than that, actually. But, you can
That's
get
what I'm saying.
complacent. You've been like a breath of fresh air, man.
Yeah.
It is my pleasure.
Well, that all that remains to be said is don't go anywhere, and I insist. Okay, if you're on YouTube, I do want you to go over to the Paranormal Portal or tfrlive.com, because Brent Thomas is ready. He's raring to go. If you like Freaky Friday, you're going to love the Paranormal Portal. We love all of you. And we'll be back same time, same place next week, wherever you are, whatever you are, whenever you are. Make it TFR.
Toodles.
Well, I didn't even hover over NeSe this time. It was just in and out, Scott. Boom, done.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Guys and girls in the chat room, thank you so much for being here. Leona, make sure. Marty as well. Make sure I'm not missing anyone here. But yeah, thank you so much for the supers and the PayPal. Much appreciated. I should be back tomorrow, actually. I usually take a Saturday off, but I've been really slacking on the streams this week. And it's time to have something fun. Something funny. Some Florida man. Some crazy capers. We'll try and find... Yeah, we'll try and... I'm going to try and find the new traffic cone. I want to see what ludicrous things humans have been up to.
Kind of a little bit of a throwback to Kev's unsafe space.
Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah, but but algorithm friendly and just laughing at the absurdity that is 2021.
Yeah, I remember I used to pull up just like crazy, absurd, wacky kind of stories. I remember the gold mine that I sent you of that Scott, one. I think it's
r/offbeat. That's where all the wacky stuff comes from, dude. It's a gold mine. It's perfect. It's good. And then I follow the Florida man over on Twitter. There's actually an account called Florida Man, and it just posts Florida Man stories. It is perfect. So tomorrow I think we'll just hang out for a few hours, goof off, chill out. We'll look at some funny videos. We'll get a laugh. Nothing serious, but something different, because we don't usually hang out on a Saturday. So yeah.
And if I'm hanging around, I might drop in.
Sounds good, dude. Nothing set in stone. If you are, you are. If I'm here, I'm here. Yeah. We'll hit each other up and we'll just shoot the shit, as they say.
It'll be like a quantum phase guessing game. Is Scott going to phase in, or is he not?
Exactly.
Or is he there? He's there, but he's not at the same time. Exactly. Who knows? We'll never know.
And I think I may have had more of the Stargate prepared by tomorrow. Maybe, folks. Yes.
It's so still under construction.
It's well under construction, Scott. What you see there is actually a really, now that I've done it, it's a really small model. I need to do it like 10 times bigger. Because if not, when the camera's flying about, it's too small. I need it bigger Stargates. So listen, folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for checking us out. Myself, NeSe, and Scott. Without all of you out there, it would be a pretty boring affair. It really, really would. And we feed off your energy. Same as you like to listen to what we kind of goof out over. We like to see what you're up to as well. So it's one big happy party. And I'm sure there's plenty more content now on YouTube for you to go and digest. I would love for you to go to the Paranormal Portal. Brent's, he's one of the good guys. One of the few good guys out there. He's not got an agenda to sell. He's not got anything to push apart from woo. And he's like us. He loves the woo.
Yeah, he does. And I'm going to request that we do this is what streamers do. It's called a raid, and
Nice.
I want everybody in the chat. I want everybody in the chat to go in to the Paranormal Portal. Go to the Paranormal Portal YouTube page, and raid his chat. Show him some love. Let him know that.
I'm gonna get the link for you right now, folks.
Yeah, let him know that Kev Baker sent you, and
At least just jump in and subscribe real quick. Share some of the love.
No, I've just posted it in his own chat room.
That's great.
Remember to come right here where you are.
Do I ever watch Count Dunkula? Of course I do, dude. He's a legend. Yeah, man, he's a legend.
He's a legend. Absolute Scottish legend.
Yep. So head on over there, folks. Go and bombard. Go and bombard him. He's only got 20 people in there right now. 22. Let's see it shooting up, folks. Let's see it shooting right up. 24. That's what I like to see. Head on over there. There's Lewis. Lewis was over here. I see Lewis. Cassie. Yeah, KBS raid. Look, in they go. I like it. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
And if I may, Captain, in about an hour from now, you might see me lighting up the disco ball.
Excited to do the show.
Nice.
Good to see you. KBS sent you. Algorithm. Good to see you, brother. I just saw you over there. Yeah, it was awesome. Kev Baker's here as well. There's some people you meet in doing what you do that really are a guide, and they really are a barometer and a I don't know, like a pathfinder for you. We try to emulate those people that do what we love because we want to do it well, because they do it well. And Kev Baker is one of those people for me. I've I've been following them for a long time, ever since starting doing the Paranormal Portal. Kev's already been at this for a long, long time. And it's always been a pleasure and an honor to know Kev and to, be the show that's featured right after him on our TFR schedule. And I just want to say, you've been an inspiration, brother. You've been a mentor. You've been an example of what I try to emulate here on the portal. So thank you for all of those things, and thanks for being a friend.
And the crowd goes wild.
Making me always feel so damn special when I stop in your YouTube channel. It's like, wow, the fanfare comes out. It's just really amazing. So
there you go, folks. Head on over. Wow, I hate hearing good things about myself. I don't know what that's all about. I need a shrink to sort that out. But
I'm the same way. I think we're like that weird breed of people to where it's like we cringe when we start getting compliments. I'm the same way. I'm like, yeah, but no, it's good though. I'm glad. Very nice words coming from Brent. He's
Brent's
an awesome
dude. He is a good dude. I look forward to the next Friday the 13th, 5 hours of woo, and NeSe's roped in this time. Look.
Oh man, that ought to be fantastic. And everything, anytime that we've collaborated and the Paranormal Portal and Freaky Friday have gotten together, and I mean it was just
sorry Scott.
It was just off the chart stuff, getting into the cryptids and hauntings and the paranormal. I mean, that is the realm that Brent, I think, he excels
awesome.
On a level.
Yep.
He excels on a level that not many people can touch when it comes to that, getting into that topic. I mean, I know we've gotten into some pretty, we've done some pretty good shows on paranormal stuff and hauntings, but man, Brent, he's one of those guys. He was just like born.
Well, I tell you, how about one Friday real soon, I get 2 guys to join us that were with us on Warrior Mode just last week. One of them's a lifelong hunter. The other one's a hunter, and he's ex-Special Forces. And they had an encounter with something that I swear I've never... The story that we got the other night about this Bigfoot, it's like nothing I'd ever heard before. It was unreal, but these guys had so much to talk about. I said, don't worry, folks, don't worry. I'll get them onto KBS, or I'm thinking a Freaky Friday might be better, because This
We might
took
have to
Bigfoot
do
cryptid to a really creepy place, Scott. Like a really dark, creepy place.
you know, we might have to get them on Freaky and do a real kind of in-depth kind of interview with their experience. I think we need to try and get some more guests like that who have had cryptid experiences or had some
Have you
some
had
kind of-
cryptid experiences? Get in touch.
or you know, people who have had these very, very interesting paranormal or cryptid experiences. I think we need to maybe
I
kind of
think
do
so.
that.
Leave it with me. Leave it with me. We'll make them our first. We will, because that was a hell of a story. Truly. So, folks, listen, thank you for being here today. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll definitely be here tomorrow. Maybe Scotty will be here. Either way, we'll have some fun. We're just going to goof off. We're going to chill out. We'll have a laugh at the world. But NeSe, thank you as well for today, brother. Scotty, thank you. And thank you to all of you out there. And remember, folks, keep it real. And hey, we'll be your Valentine. Don't worry about it. Quite sinister telling somebody you'll be their Valentine and then putting this video and music on, granted. But hey, I didn't mean to be that creepy.
When you said it too.
Yeah, the clown loves it, man.
Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew.
Does Pearl like chocolate?
Of course. What lady doesn't?